welcome to the last race of the 2023 A season for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. Coming at you live from the simulated Darlington Raceway, where the Cup guys here are going to take 184 laps to get around this track here. We saw there on Wednesday there was a pretty clean race overall, and right now, based off the weather that you're seeing on your screen right now, 87 in the skies. Low moisture in the air, partly cloudy. 13-mile-an-hour winds. We saw about 9 to 10-mile-an-hour gusts coming from the south end on Wednesday, but the winds have picked up a little bit. And I don't know if that's going to play much in the handle of these cars, but the trucks were loose, but they were steady. We had 0 green flag cautions. We only had the 1 stage caution, so will we see the same picture here? We're about to find out here momentarily, but my name, as always, Jeremy Stanley, and then to my right-hand side, in the middle, rather, is Jason Rockefeller. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I got the Darlington throwback hat on. I kind of missed it the other day. It doesn't exactly fit my large head of hair here, but we're wearing it. We're supporting it. Hey, man, it's the final race of Season A for these guys. A lot of things are on the line here already. Just looking out, I mean, just look at that number 19 Office Depot Ford Mustang. That thing's beautiful. We've already been sitting looking here at the, what we're doing for, last week on Wednesday, and then obviously tonight's race with the paint scheme contests and everything like that. A lot of good schemes out here so far. 3 in particular that we all really have our eye on. I already know which one's pretty much my favorite. But I'm ready to do some Darlington racing tonight. Obviously, the Cup guys in real life yesterday, they put on one heck of a show. It was kind of long, strung out, and then got really competitive right there at the end. Lots of drama, lots of action. I expect the same thing here tonight, and Richie Coy looks to become another champion again this week if he can hold on and just maintain a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if he just starts the race, takes the green flag, I think that qualifies him. He's 38 points ahead of second place Brody Hanna. And right now, I think there's under 30 cars on the track. So he's going to have to finish like dead last before the stage and then finish dead last again while Brody wins everything to maybe have a chance. But I just don't see that happening. So basically, all but locked up for Richie Coy. I'm getting him the early crown, getting the trophy there. But Dustin, what's it going to be like for you tonight out there controlling the cameras?
Darlington always puts on a good show. I mean, it's the way that these these drivers go, sling this track. I mean, the way that those turns, that exit of turn 3 will come up and bite you hard. Turn 2 every once in a while as well, but it's like, or turn 4, just it eats you hard. Turn 2 exit will eat it pretty good too. So should be really good. But I mean, it's Darlington. I mean, we got throwback schemes. I mean, we've been talking about it since pre-race about all these throwback schemes. Got a couple other ones out there that we just come across. I've seen Brody Hanna's throwback to Kevin Harvick. Of course, Kevin Harvick's last ride in real life. It's last season. So, I mean, that's a good one. Throwback to his Reese's car. Big change up for Sherwood Williford, too, in that 33 Crisco car. So, used to seeing him in Goodwrench. And they come here, and I love the atmosphere. The atmosphere is fantastic. Great racing. Nostalgia all the way through. Always a good show.
The 33, what he kept, though, is that silver/chrome, though. He's not let go of that all season. Now his numbers are chrome coming into this thing. So at least he kept that touch. And we're talking about these throwback skins. If you joined us on this past Wednesday, it was up to us, all 3 of us that you see on your screen, to determine who had the best throwback. And they're giving us the luxury of voting the same thing tonight, the best throwback for the Cup Series. That's on us. We're going to decide that after the interviews. So stay tuned to find out who wins. I think it's a Martin Sports set of gloves, correct? No, it's customized T-shirt, rather.
Customized T-shirt, yes, with that paint scheme. And just to throw it out, too, we did get props from Wednesday's race from this man on screen right now, Mr. Tony Solari, getting props for the Mario Andretti and picking that one out. And I will say that we picked this one out as well. This one is Cale Yarbrough's Holly Farms throwback from way back when. So it was a legitimate pick out, by the way, Tony. He did let me know what it was ahead of time, but of course our man with the stats and the cranium that can go way back when, Mr. Jason Rockefeller, was the one that picked out Cale Yarbrough's car. So again, I just want to give you guys props on that one.
Yep. And, I've seen some cars just join the track late here, and there's some new skins I'm seeing. 23 Brody Hanna got a Kevin Harvick skin out here. We got Ken Block schemes. We got the KO Bros. We have a bunch of Mark Martins out here, a couple Xerox, just full of cars that are throwback. And we're going qualifying here. We're going to ride on board with your fastest practiced guy, and this is the number 39 of Troy Torgerson, part of our PM Motorsports. This guy has been doing pretty good with his team for the later half of this year, and we're waiting for him to get on track, and there he is. We're going to go on board with him hood camera, or roof camera rather, and see what he's got here for this qualifying lap.
Yeah, and Troy's also coming off a second place run, Jeremy, from Kansas last week. He was very, very fast, one of those guys who could always rip the top, but he just couldn't somehow get that clean air late in the runs, throughout the restarts, and Richie Coy somehow, some way was able to save it between him and Brody, and also obviously the heartbreak for Robert Malikian in that 22 machine, the rookie. Unfortunate circumstances for him, hitting the wall in turn 3, coming to the white flag. Troy was able to come home, place in second, but here he goes down to turn number 1. You want to kind of dive it right down to that apron, drift up to the outside. It's kind of like a very awkward diamond shape. Get out to the wall, come back down so you can get the drive off. That's the loosest part of the racetrack right there. Flying down the Boeing back straightaway, hard braking zone a little bit, let the car kind of slide up towards the wall a little bit. You don't want to get on that seam too much, but you want to make sure you can rip that outside wall, then kind of dive it down so you can have a little bit of a medium to a low exit, and then hit the start-finish line right there. And at the line that time by, that's going to place him first up on the board, 29.67 for Mr. Torgerson. So hopefully, maybe Jeremy and Dustin, maybe, just maybe, Troy could bring that Buddy Baker Gray Ghost machine for the win here tonight and possibly pick up that W after finishing second last week.
Yeah, he's coming through turn 4 now, and that first lap was such a beautiful lap. I think he lost a little bit of speed on turns 3 and 4 side there, coming to the line. Lap number 2 beats it by a little bit. I think he just passed Richie Coy, had momentarily taken over the pole. And then as soon as I say that, Brody Hanna by 2/1000ths of a second takes over Troy Torgerson, puts Troy right back into second place there on the charts.
Oh, and then just as you say that, Richie Coy comes up with a 29.46. These guys are cooking this track right now. They are laying down some blistering laps. I mean, look at these lap times. I mean, 4.6, 5.8, 6.0. That right there is your top 3, just separated by, I mean, just mere tenths of a second, hundredths of a second. So, I mean, these guys are going to be putting on a good show tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got about 3 minutes left in this thing, 2.5, and we've already seen some of the really fast times. The top 5 are really all separated in time frames from practice and qualifying, and then you go through the rest of the charts, and it's going to be a pretty tight battle mid-pack. I think that's where the most of the action is going to take place. But you're going to see basically tonight the same thing on Wednesday. You're going to see a lot of spaced out early on, and then late before the stage end, you're going to see all these guys try to make up as much ground as possible, test out the long run, and then set their cars up for the long second half of the race.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be the big factor here today, Jeremy, obviously, is going to be all about handling. Obviously, with these rack and pinion steerings, you saw a lot of guys in the Cup race yesterday. You've also seen a lot of guys on iRacing all week long. Obviously, now it's Monday after, I want to say, the 7 o'clock, 7:30 Eastern time range. It changes to what the track will be for this upcoming week, which is obviously North Wilkesboro. So taking it back to last week, I'm sure a lot of guys are having a lot of trouble probably, both in the open and the fixed setup stuff. Running these NASCAR Next Gen Series stock cars here at Darlington. This is one of the hardest tracks on the schedule. It's one of the most awkward racetracks on the schedule. And you're going to have to set up your car to be for long run. You're going to see a lot of tire fall off. We saw fall off last week in the Martin Sports Truck Series. Tire fall off was almost, if not 3 seconds or more. You're going to see the exact same thing here in today's Next Gen race here in the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series event. And also, mind the fact, too, look at that aerial shot right there. Complete sunlight right there compared to what we had just last week on Wednesday where it was cloudy. Sun was kind of beaming down a little bit, but it's cloudy. Sun was starting to set today. We're going to be in the daylight.
I want to make a mention here, too. We have 4 guys that are going to the back of the field, including your pole sitter. So I wanted to mention that, or at least up to this point in time. Richie Coy, the 19, the 7 of Wayne Grassi, the 44 of Chris Beck, and the 57 of Joshua Johnson. 4 penalties handed out by the admins this past Monday. Those 4 guys will be going to the back. So if you see your pole sitter go to the back, that is exactly why here is. We got 10 seconds left. I think it's all basically locked in. Richie Coy going to be getting the best starting spot in pit road, that is, but not so much on the track. But we've seen this guy. He's patient. He can get this job done here.
And, Richie obviously going to the back, even though he has the fastest car. We've seen it time and time again where he's going to the back of the field and he's come through. Brody Hand, the same thing. I believe it was last week. It was either for the Martin Sports Truck Series or the Mach-1 Cup Series, if I'm correct. Brody Hanna started all the way in the back of the field and drove his butt all the way up to the front of the field. He had a fast car last week, man, and I mean a fast car. But then obviously just got a little bit tight. Handling kind of went away. So obviously Richie Coy, he's one of the experienced guys, got his first win of the season. If you can only believe that it was only his first win last week. Richie Coy going to be coming from the rear. I guarantee you're going to see that Carl Edwards throw back up at the front like it belongs.
Absolutely, but it is our time now to get our faces off your screen, go over the starting lineup for the final race of the 2023 A season. On the boards, Richie Coy is going to be P1. Brody Hanna is going to be starting in second place. Troy Torgerson is going to be in third. Fourth place, Colton Gum. Fifth place, Lane Allen. Sixth place, TJ Bartell. Lewis Smelgan going to be starting in seventh. Chad Lang, eighth. Robert Malikian, ninth. And to round out tonight's top 10, Ryan Hedrick.
Top 20, you're going to have Brian Dublé in the 37th, starting 11th. 12th is Ryan Chapman. 13th, Justin Diltz. 14th, with a change of colors this week, Sherwood Williford in the 33, starting 14th. Or starting 15th here, Tony Solar in the Cale Yarborough throwback. Starting in the 16th spot, Kyle Milliken in the 42 machine, throwback to Kenny Irwin. 17th, Joshua Johnson, throwback to Jimmy Spencer. And then you have James Wallace there in 18th. And then you have, I love that scheme. Throwback to Alan Kowicki there. Wayne Grossi in the number 7, starting 19th. And then starting 20th, James Torrey in the number 6.
Michael Blackner, 21st. Alan Duranco, 22nd. Chris Beck, 23rd. Brandon Elder, 24th. And Alan Crowell will round out tonight's 25-car lineup to end this thing. I've got some votes already in my book as far as what I think the best throwback is. There's so many to choose from tonight. On the front row is I think that's right up there for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You see the 19 of Richie Coy dive to the bottom here. Kind of new. We're going to try to bring in some drivers that we have not done all season long. We used to do this a little bit in the middle of last year. We're going to try to talk to some people. I really wanted to do that for you guys on Wednesday, but these guys had no cautions under green flag situations, and I wasn't going to disturb the team talk during the only caution they had. So if we pick up a couple extra cautions tonight, we might be able to talk to some of these guys out here, including the 19 who has won the championship by starting this race. So he's recycling through here all the guys, all the throwbacks right there. The Heinz catch-up, Jimmy Spencer throwback there. Awesome paint scheme from Joshua Johnson. There's just so many out here. A couple Xerox cars, one in particular, Wayne Grossi, one of the guys going to the back. I think that's one of my top 3.
Yeah, that scheme is absolutely beautiful, too. There's a lot of schemes out here that are good. Wayne Grossi, we didn't even see him in practice or qualifying there, really, Jeremy. So, obviously, now we're finally getting to see that number 7 machine throwback to the late Alan Kowicki. There's so many good schemes out here today. This should be a very, very fun race.
And here we go, waiting for the green flag and the server to fly one last time. Here we go, green flag to start it. Brody Hanna is going to be your pole sitter, virtue of the 19 dropping to the rear. And Brody gets an excellent start over Troy Torgerson, the 39, going off into turn 1. You really want to be single file. There's no reason to really push the issue unless you had a bad qualifying time and you really just wanted to make up some ground before the tire wear sets in. Coming off of turn 2, everybody single file, at least inside this top 10 here, all the way through the back. Yeah, actually every single driver early single filed out. This is very expected here to get the opening laps underway and get these tire temperatures built up.
Yeah, and that's going to be key here, Jeremy. Obviously, these guys, first time that they've really ran in a giant pack with these NASCAR next-gen cars here. obviously all season at Darlington. So obviously everybody wants to be kind of, a little bit patient. They don't want to be pushing it. But then later on in this race, you see the 4 here of Chad Lang looking underneath the 43 of Lewis Meglin there in that Ken Block throwback. Everybody's going to be very, very patient. They're going to give each other room. They're going to learn to give and take. But as this race winds down, you're going to see less and less of that because these drivers are going to get more and more comfortable with their cars, and they're going to have their cars set up to what they are going to be at the finish of the race.
Couple guys already making some moves here. Richie Coy's already passed a handful of guys, moved up inside the top 20 after having to drop back outside of the top 20. No surprise there. We got a couple cars. The 57 of Joshua Johnson hits the outside wall there, and one other driver as well could not make it out at that moment. Try to see who it was. Wayne Grossi and the 7, the Xerox Chevrolet Camaro, make some contact there. 57 got the most of that, but no car spun, so we're going to remain green.
It was the 6 of James Torrey, actually, I believe, right back there. He went head-on into the inside wall, I think, almost. Going to have to maybe see if we can get a replay here with that Mark Martin Valvoline throwback right there. That's just so heartbreaking there for that Jimmy Spencer throwback of Joshua Johnson. Got really tight there, Jeremy. I saw coming off turn 2, bounced off the wall and collected the 6 of James Torrey from what it looked like. And obviously these guys are going to be struggling with the damage that they have to their race cars. Joshua Johnson and James Torrey are going to be hoping for an early yellow, hopefully, but that might not be the case. We saw last week on Wednesday for the Martin Sports Truck Series, we didn't see one single natural green flag caution. So that could be the case here tonight for these 184 laps from the virtual Darlington Raceway here. But so far, things are kind of clean besides those 2 incidents. And right now, Troy Torgerson in that Buddy Baker Gray Ghost throwback is hunting down Brody Hanna in that number 23 throwback to Kevin Harvick's Reese's car.
Yeah, the opening laps, Brody had the best car. Then after a few laps and the tire temps built up, now we're starting to see the 39 just slowly approach the 23 here. We got some good action in the back just inside your top 10 between the 43, the 47, 37 to 22. These guys respectively here running nose to tail, going through 3 and 4 this time. And so I was thinking there right before we went green flag, this middle pack with how the times are so bundled up, I think we're going to see some good action here in mid-pack tonight.
You probably will. I mean, obviously last week we didn't really see a whole lot of action inside the top 3. You saw it from time to time, but Cody McKinney, you see right there, that was the 37 of Brian Dublé. I believe he just popped the wall there off turn number 2, was able to save it, gather it back up. Robert Malicki there in the 22 machine, throwback to Mark Martin as well, or Cale Yarborough, whatever you want to call it there. So many Valvoline schemes. Valvoline has obviously been in the sport for so long. So many different schemes from Mark Martin to Cale Yarborough to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and now Kyle Larson, obviously in the Hendrick camp. But, that's the thing with these guys. You're going to see a lot of guys in the back mid part of the field where they're going to be starting to battle really, really hard, especially during the mid part of the race and especially towards the end, Jeremy, when they know that they have their cars dialed into perfection, at least to perfection on their standards and what they want. But up at the front of the field, those guys are going to be stout all night long, but we'll see.
Yeah, they really will. And I've seen probably 6 or 7 different Darlington stripes already applied. Last lap, number 10, Golden Gum, just slightly grazed the outside wall with his rear end off of turn 2, which is very natural. It carries so much speed through the corner, and then it kind of looks like the corner exit tightens up the radius just a touch, and it gives you a false sensation. And it's very easy to hit the wall. But as we're cycling through here, back to your race leader, the 23, Brody Hanna, still has about 3 to 4 car lengths over the 39 of Torres in here. Troy is just I think he's playing that patience card, just kind of waiting and watching, see what the 23 is doing, testing out the line, seeing what his car can do. And I think late in the run, this might be pretty good. But all the way through the field, come corner turn 2, you've seen a lot of good action so far, tightly bunched up through 10 laps.
Troy, that last time around, he wasn't obviously the fastest, but that time around he ran a 29.90, so basically equal to Brody Hanna right there. I mean, honestly here, Jeremy, all the top 3 to top 5 guys are all pretty much on equal speed in a sense. I mean, TJ Bartell, Colton Gum, almost trailing back by them with 2 seconds with the lap times, but they're not doing that bad. I mean, this is so far a competitive top 5. Colton Gum, he's had his moments. TJ Bartell's been a solid pick. And then Lane Allen, he's had some heartbreaking moments over the last few weeks in the FTSR. Here he is having a great run in that usual number 14 Bass Pro Shop Chevy Camaro. So good to see him out here having a good run. But I tell you what, though, Jeremy, you talked about those two guys up at the front and Troy probably just playing the conservative side a little bit. That wouldn't really shock me. We talk about tire fall off here being such a major problem here at Darlington, obviously being one of the oldest surfaces in the game here, and obviously the tire wear, it's just like a cheese grater, like Larry Mack always says. It's a cheese grater to these Goodyear tires. So Troy's probably taking it easy with the tires, obviously, but Brody's just trying to get away from him the best he can, but at the same time trying to conserve his stuff as well.
I'm concerned about that 14 behind these guys, who's going to be reeling these guys in the way they're racing, especially now. 23 is all mirror driving here, waiting to see if the 39 makes a dive into the bottom. Just anything that'll open up that door for him to take that position and have your first lead change this evening. Lap 8, I noticed the 41 there of Alan Crowell door slapped the outside turn 2 wall super hard. Had to come down pit road for multiple minute repair. He's still on pit road now. Just a quick notation. Now here's the 39. See the little mistake there by the 23 checking up on corner exit. A little too tight for the 23. It allows Troy Torgerson to make the pass on the bottom of turns 3 and 4, which is the much easier, much preferred way to pass. 1 and 2 is so much more difficult with all that extra speed. Troy does it cleanly. First lead change of this evening, RPM Motorsports P1.
Now Brody Hanna's got to be realizing to himself, Jeremy, do I either save or do I attack? Because right now, if I were Brody Hanna, you can attack, but make sure that you're still safe. And that's basically where Troy Torgerson was doing. He was being very patient. But look at the gaps that they've opened up just from being side by side and from battling a little bit for about half a racetrack. That's reeled in Lane Allen in the 14, TJ Bartell, and Colton Gum trailing back by just a little over a second. So it's getting close. You see right there, Brody Hanna off turn 4, looked to the inside, wasn't able to make it stick. Now he'll drift up to the outside of the racetrack, rip around 1 and 2 before they reach the Boeing back straightaway, and Brody Hanna is all over the bumper of that gray Ghost machine here as the Bass Pro Shops machine and the 30 as well back behind them. They're closing in as they work their way into 3.
It looks like the 39 has slowed down just a little bit after passing the 23. I thought the 23's exit, he gets a little loose off of 4. It almost looked like turn 2 for the 23 had a little bit of a tight situation, but the 39 matched to speed, and now we're seeing the 14 and the 30 really closing on up. They've picked up over a half a second in this past 2 laps here, so just the next couple more laps, we might see a shift in position here for second place. But TJ Bartell just all over the back bumper of the 14 in here. This might be the first pass out of these group of guys.
Yeah, and actually, thing to note right here, Jeremy, TJ Bartell was the fastest car out of that top 5 here just last time around with a 30.36. That time by 30.54 for him. So not as fast as Chad Lang behind him, who's actually running a 30.35. It's almost 0.3 faster than the guys up front. Don't count out Chad Lang as, oh, we got a caution out on the racetrack here, presented by Roasted Gems Coffee. Going to have to see. Oh, and I think it might have been that 11 Cale Yarborough throwback of Tony Solari here, Jeremy. We're going to have to see.
Tony Solari, Justin Diltz getting into it right there on your screen. The 11 just came up. The 91 was all the way up against the wall, and then Tony Solari just, I don't know if he had a misjudgment there, but half his car was only cleared, turned right into the 91, put him into the wall, a little bit of T-bone there, but no too much damage. Just a lot of, you've seen one more close angle there, and yeah, just 91 had nowhere to go. 11 turns up front, but I think the 11 only got very minor nose damage, and the 91 just had his right rear or right side railer just kind of pancaked. So, you know, that shouldn't require too much damage repair from both teams. I think both these guys are going to be okay.
Yeah, and that was honestly a mirror image of Ross Chastain and Kyle Larson's incident going into 1 and 2 just yesterday, obviously battling super hard for the lead. And obviously you see that right front fender of Tony Solari with the Cale Yarborough Holly Farms 1977 throwback there. Beautiful, beautiful looking scheme. Always nice to have a Menard scheme that is not neon yellow and another secondary color, whether it be blue for Blue Def or red for Jacklings. I can name them all since I'm a Ryan Blaney fan, so I'm allowed to. But that right front is absolutely killed right now. He's definitely going to have a lot of repairs right here, especially that number 91 adjusted Diltz, because that thing was caving into the wall practically down the front straightaway. But we've had a lot of guys pit right here. But look at this, Jeremy. One guy who says, I am not going to pit, Kyle Milliken in the Kenny Irwin throwback here from 1998 with the Bell South machine. He's going to stay out here. We're going to have to see if this is going to mix up the restart here.
Yeah, he's one of my top 3 picks for sure right there. But this is bold strategy being Darlington. You already said it about 10 laps ago. This is a cheese grater to these Goodyears. So why? We're 20 laps in. First caution. Maybe he's just really wanting to save those tires late, but we're going to find out here in just a moment. We're going to kick it over to picture-in-picture commercial break. Be back with you guys right before the drop of the green flag. And back to full screen action here. The pace car lights are out. That means we have 1 pace lap left before we're going to go back to green flag action. Restarting on lap number 23 as we're going to go over the top 10 Nerd TV recap here. P1, the guy that you saw did not pit before we went to commercial break, Kyle Milliken. This guy is going to drop back so quick. We're going to see a bunch of action here real shortly, see what he's going to do. 39 to Tori Torgerson, 4 fresh Goodyears on that machine. They're restarting in P2. He's going to go right back to P1, right where he left off with the 23 of Brody Hanna. First car on the inside. Let's see how he navigates the 42. The 14 of Lane Allen had a mid-run speed there, car. Let's see what he can do to kind of capitalize on a short-run speed. 30 of TJ Bartel and outside of 4 of Chad Lang. Both of those guys are going to be looking to pounce as well. The mid-pack cars, the 43 of Meglin, 19 of Richie Coy moving up already 10-plus positions. Let's see what he can do as we're going to go back to restart here. That is your Nerd TV top 10 recap. I think I got 9 cars, but Colton Gum in the 10, starting in 10th. He's doing just fine as well, but green flag is out. We're going to keep our eye out on the front of this pack. We're Kyle Milliken. Let's see what he can do as he goes through turn 1. Turn 1 and turn 2 should be fine. But when we get 1 lap in and the tire wear or the temperature start to build back up, this is where we're going to see some fall off here.
Yeah, and I honestly expect right here, Jeremy, when he gets out of turn 4, I expect that 42 to go all the way to the back of the tail end of this field right here practically. Because, I mean, he's obviously on like 20-lap older tires. You can already see Torgerson closing in. Easy going to be able to close in right to his back bumper. You saw Brody Hanna right there off turn 4 as well. He got super loose. So everybody's struggling with lack of grip. Obviously, the heat on the racetrack, maybe in a bit we can get a look at the weather conditions again to see if the track temperature has changed at all. Here's the 39, though, closing on the back bumper of Milliken here. And you can just see 116 degrees, Jeremy. That's going to create some super loose conditions, especially with the 13-mile-an-hour wind as well. That's going to help with the aero on these guys big time here as you're seeing a battle for the lead right here. 3 cars under a blanket going down to turn number 1.
Brody Hanna pushing the issue on Troy, saying, get past him. I want to get around him before we get to the backstretch. And they did it. 42 drops back to 3rd place. Now it's up to Lane Allen to see what he wants to do. Brody Hanna gets a little bit of slower check-in into the corner. Oh, and the 39 Torgerson really checks up the center of 3 and 4. Brody Hanna now looking to the inside. Here's going to cross the line on lap number 26. as the 42 continues to fall back. Here it gets passed by the 14. Now the 30 of Bartel almost makes contact. This corner is much harder to pass than it is 3 and 4, but they do make it clean. TJ Bartel makes that move, and now Chad Lang in the 4, and everybody on else is going to be sniffing at the 42, saying it's my turn to get around you. As I'm kind of curious to see how this call is going to play out for him.
Really don't expect this call at all to work out for him, Jeremy, whatsoever. I really don't know what he was thinking to try to maybe come into the pits here, pit with these guys, but instead he stayed out. I mean, you have 20 laps as James Wallace, 29.61, fastest lap so far in the race. That was a heater by the 13th place number 67 machine. I just do not know what that 42 machine and team were doing, thinking that they were going to be able to stay out here and not get eaten up in somehow, some way, obtain some track position. You just see him right now falling back more and more, still inside the top 10. Currently 7th right now, though. Ryan Hedrick behind him in that 47 DraftKings Chevy Camaro, closing in ever so slightly as they head into 1 and 2, go up to the top side of the racetrack. That 42, though, man, he should have pit. You know you have 20 laps on your tires. This track is a cheese grater to those tires. He's just going to fall back more and more as the run progresses, even when the tires balance out.
Jumping over to the YouTube chats here. Jeff Chandler, not racing tonight, says, wish I was there supporting my teammates Troy and TJ, but I got the flu of all things. So unfortunate to not see you here tonight, man. Get well soon. And he says, go RPM. And right now, your team doing pretty darn good, holding first place and 4th. So I guess the Darlington setup is doing really good for him right now, as we're on board right there with now second place driver Troy Torgerson. Got passed up by Brody Hanna. Maybe Brody made a tweak in pit road, but he took it a little easier that restart. And he did the same thing Troy did to him. Passed him about 5 or 10 laps into the run. A little flipped up the script here early on.
Having a great battle here on the racetrack for not only us up in the booth, but also the fans watching at home here on all of our platforms on Nerd TV. These guys, they just keep swapping it back and forth. It's like 1 minute Brody Hanna saying, nah, man, I got the advantage. Next thing you know, Troy Torgerson says, nah, man, I'm just going to pass you. And they keep swapping back and forth, etc. But I tell you what, do not, and I mean do not, count out Lane Allen in the number 14 machine. He has been putting down some solid laps, practically the same lap times as those leaders, only back by about 0.7 of a second with the lap times, and he's actually only back by 0.8 of a second. So if those guys get side by side anymore here, Jeremy, they provide some side by side action, wear out their tires a little bit more here. I believe that Lane Allen, that 14 machine, can try to get to them, and he might have something for him here.
Yeah, I really want to see this race go green flag for a while, just like we did on Wednesday, as we're going to kick it over to the Nerd TV replay to see the 44 and the number 2 here. Dallin Duranko on the inside, Chris Beck on the top, going through 3 and 4 here. Good battle here. A little looseness there by Duranko, but still maintain it side by side. I think there was a little bit of a registered contact in the game, and right here it is. Yep, on turn 1. Great car control there, absolutely there, Jason. To not spin that thing out right in front of Ryan Chapman. Really close call there.
Yeah, I promise you, for everybody watching at home, you don't save that. That is unsavable right there. And these guys are still battling right now as the 44 of Chris Beck able to pass Duranko in that number 2 Miller Lite Ford Mustang. You see the Ryan Chapman right back behind him. He's closing the gap, though. Everybody files out down the back straightaway, still trying to make something happen. And look at that. There's Tony Solari, currently sitting in the 20th spot, had some damage, and just up ahead of him, too, the 91 of Justin Diltz. I guess the damage wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I sure enough thought, Jeremy, because he was dragging up along that outside with the number 11 machine, I thought the 91 was going to have worse damage. Turns out, looks like he's running a little bit better here than Solari as it heads down the back straightaway. You see Chapman there right behind the 2 of Duranko get really loose right now. He's under attack from Robert Malickian in the number 22 machine. A lot of Mark Martin and Valvoline throwbacks out here tonight.
I am just loving this race. And Duranko gets loose big time there and able to bring it back up and save it. Man, he's going to lose 4 spots on that exchange, but Duranko with a huge save. But I was just saying, I was loving this group of cars. They were just nose to tail, like within a half a car length space. Doing a great race here about mid-pack, and you're going to see it off the right-hand side of your screen. Duranko saves it, brings it back up. I thought maybe he was going to overcorrect, and he did an excellent job to maintain not hitting the number 11. But to bring to your point there, you're surprised about the 91 of Dilts not really having, I see another angle there from the number 2. Just excellent handle there from that machine twice now. So those rear tires are screaming at him saying, hey, cool me off, man. This is way too early. This can't be good for his car handling from this point forward. But going back to the 91, carbon composite bodies, right? So he can hit the wall a little harder, not have so much of that repercussion there from doing so. And the team did a great job pulling the fenders back out. That car's maintained its speed.
Yeah, and obviously, too, you also got to put into accountability, too, the big thing, which made me think to myself, oh, he's got to have a lot of damages because that right side was grinding up against the wall so much. You could think that, obviously, because this car has an independent front and rear end suspension, too, you could break a toe link, you could do whatever it wants to the car, and obviously, then you very well could have a wheel fall off. With these NASCAR next-gen models, the damage models here on iRacing, we've seen recently from the damage model continuously being updated, tires, these wheels, they will literally fall off if you get into the wall too much, have too much damage here. But right now, these two cars up front, they don't have any damage, man. They're flying to the front, and here comes Troy Torgerson for RPM here. He's trying to go to the bottom of the racetrack and complete the pass on Brody Hanna here off turn number 4, and that's just given more of an opportunity for Lane Allen there in the 14 machine, only back now. He's gained about 0.3 of a second. Now back to 0.2 of a second. He's only back by 0.6 right now. He's closing in the gap if those guys get side by side again.
There's great racing on multiple parts around this track. And yeah, Troy Torgerson just looks like, at least RPM Motorsports in general, has a better mid to late run here. And they're showcasing it right now. And we're looking at 30 at TJ Bartel, the other RPM driver. He's currently sitting at 4th. Gets a little tight there off of turn 4. It's going to allow the 19 of Richie Coy. Welcome back, you sir, to the top 5. Started first, had to drop back to EOL outside the top 20. And here he is, currently 5th, lurking at the 30 now. This is the first we're going to see, teammates here, the 19 and 23, get together on the track as TJ Bartel lets him by 19 in the 4th.
That was actually a great piece of driving right there by TJ Bartel. Knew that Richie Coy was a lot faster. Said, hey, man, you're faster than me. I probably maybe just worn out my tires just a little too much than I wanted to. You can go right by. Heads up driving by TJ Bartel. Round of applause virtually from me. But this is the guy I'm keeping my eye on right here as we focus on him trying to get around the 4 of Chad Lang in the Richard Petty throwback. Obviously, so many STP schemes. Oh, we got one car out on the wall back there in the back. That's Colton Gum. He pops the wall off turn number 2, send it down to the inside retaining wall. He was able to save it, so nice job there by Mr. Gum in the number 10 machine. But back to what I was saying, that 67 of James Wallace here, Jeremy, he is faster than these guys up in front of him. One time I remember looking, he was faster by about 3 or 4 tenths more than the guys in front of him. Kind of, evened out just a little bit right now, but he is still running some of the most consistent lap times on the racetrack, and he's continuing to pick off car after car as he looks to the inside of Chad Lang. That's for position number 7 here. He is already up 10 spots from where he started, but he's got to be careful if he wants to make his way towards the front and not cause calamity.
Yeah, when you think long run, at least when I think long run anyways, one of the first 3 names that popped to my mind is James Wallace in the 67. Especially last year, he did just a killer job just saving the tires, gets about halfway through the run, and he just picks people off like he got fresh set of tires. So no surprise to me to see him kind of make a late run push here as we're coming up to lap number 44 of the session out of 184 total. Keep an eye out for the 67. I think this long run, he's got something for these guys.
Yeah, he definitely does here. And I mean, we did talk about, he did set, I believe, if I am correct, still the fastest lap on the track right now. But look at this, battle for second. Brody Hanna is falling off severely. Troy Torgerson has already pulled out in front of these guys by over 2 seconds now. Brody Hanna is struggling with grip in that number 23 Reese's Ford Mustang for Fury Motorsports here. He's got, oh, they make contact. The 2 guys going for the title. Teammates, friends, buddies, whatever you call it. Teammates, friends, maybe no more. The 23 loose off the corner. I can only imagine what Brody Hanna is thinking right now inside of his virtual cockpit. That was not pretty going into turn number 1.
They made some contact last week, too. I forget exactly what moment in the race it was, but oh, the 23 gets heavy loose, slaps the outside wall. Bad to worse here for the 23 of Brody Hanna. Tons of damage to that outside front there. It's going to drop him behind the number 47 of Ryan Hendrick. 7th place. He loses several spots on that exchange. And we still got 15 laps before we see the stage break here. So this 23 really just needs to hang tight, wait for those laps, and get this thing repaired up.
Not what he wants to see or feel here, Jeremy, because he obviously is battling Richie Coy for the Season 8 title. Obviously, this one not as close as what the Martin Sports Truck Series title was on Wednesday. Coming into tonight's race, if I'm looking at the standings right now, Brody Hanna was minus 38 coming in. Obviously, now Richie Coy, he's higher than him in the running order right now if the stage were to end. Obviously, Richie Coy would extend that points gap. Brody Hanna needed Richie Coy to have a terrible night tonight here, and he needed to try to finish top 5, if not get a win tonight to win this championship. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but still a long ways to go. Some early trouble here for the 23 Fury Motorsports driver here.
Doyle Lawrence on the chat saying, hope you're feeling better, Jeff Gore. PM, rooting for the other two guys on the track. And then, yeah, he saw that incident there and was like, man, hopefully T doesn't get caught up in that. But I am really surprised the 19 of Richie Coy. He's only one caution, right, that was been brought out for an incident on the track. This guy went from outside of the top 20 to 3rd place, and he hasn't really lost much time doing so. He's only 3.5 seconds back. So it shows me his long run speed is definitely there. We're coming up to 10 laps to go to end out stage 1. And Jason, I don't know. This 19, I think that's going to be a whole different race once we go back to green flag action here after the stage break. This 19 is definitely going to be putting himself in for a race and championship victories at the same night.
Yeah, and that's more than likely what the case could be here. Obviously, these guys are going to be able to make adjustments to their virtual next-gen stock cars here. Once this stage ends, obviously, our stage will end on after lap 60 once the top 10 cross the line, just like they do in the real top 3 National Series in NASCAR here. But Troy Torgerson, he's putting a whooping on the field right now, almost 3.5 seconds over Lane Allen, the 14 machine. Then you got Richie Coy. You talked about him being so fast, Jeremy. And guess what? He's about to pass that guy right there who I said could have made a big statement if the 39 to 23 got side by side. Obviously, Troy had other plans. He pulled away, but Richie Coy right now, he is putting some pressure on Steven Allen there in that 14 machine, and also bringing TJ Bartel along as well here with just a handful of laps to go in this first stage.
I think the 19 will get 2nd place here as he gets right up and close to the 14 here off of turn 4X. The 19 just carries so much speed from center to X. He's able to drive the car a little bit lower, get to the throttle sooner, but he has to back up for turns 1 and 2, the more difficult of the 2 sections of the track to make that pass here. Richie gets a little loose there in the center of 2, or 1 and 2 rather. Comes off of 4 though and gets us a great launch here on the roof camera. He's going to look to the inside of the 14, see if he can make this pass. The 14 drives in a little bit deeper, gets on the binders, keeps it off the wall. Wall riding, that's the preferred lane around here. Does well for the 14, but the 19 just once again just too fast on corner exit.
Hey, you don't want to wall ride too much though, Jeremy. As you see the 19 of Richie Coy easily gets past Lane Allen, the 14 machine. I was just going to say, Coy has a lot more drive off speed than the 14 machine, but here comes TJ Bartel. We're going to see how quickly he can get around Lane Allen in the 14 as they head into turn 3, coming to hit lap 54 this time by. And also a guy, too, who's kind of had a solid night so far, Chad Lang, right behind them in that number 4 car. Currently sitting 5th, only +3 from where he started, but somehow, some way, those Richard Petty throwbacks just always do something here at Darlington. I don't know what it is. If you put STP, if you slap a decal on the car, somehow, some way, no matter what I've ever seen, an STP car somehow is always up at the front here. So Chad Lang having another good run as well, especially Brian Dublé, Wayne Grossi, Ryan Hendrick, lots of guys inside the top 10 who are having very exceptional nights here. As you look at TJ Bartel looking to the inside of the 14 of Lane Allen down to turn 1. They're going to be side by side. Bartel, though, he's going to clear him as they work their way into 2.
Good pass there through 1 and 2. Makes it look clean there. I was looking at the stat books. I was kind of curious of where Richie had finished. I had forgotten last year here at Darlington opening the season. This man won by 4 seconds, so the 19 definitely trying to repeat from last year's race anyways. But we're coming up to the line. 5 laps to go before we're going to see stage end. At 2 laps to go, the pit road does close. Now, we've talked about it a couple times throughout the season, Jason. Do you pit with 3 laps to go? Do you try to take the early jump in if you're someone who's like in 10th place?
You know, I would say maybe, but I mean, really at this juncture, I don't really think so. You really don't want to risk going a lap down, possibly, maybe overshooting your box. Obviously, this is probably, and we say this a lot about most tracks with pit roads, besides Dover, we do have some guys coming into the pits, though, but these are all guys who are about a lap down right now. I saw Brandon Elder come into the pits right there. He just came in recently. I know Alan Crowell has been in. He's 44 laps down, actually, so interesting to see what happened possibly to the 41 machine, but I just can't see it. I mean, this track, you see right there, the track is so wide, but the racing line is so narrow, and trying to go from about 160, 170 miles an hour, 150 maybe, I don't even know, there through 3 and 4, then get down all the way to the inside wall where pit road is. It is so hard to do that. I would not want to risk it. I saw guys in Road to Pro losing it. Road to Pro, could you even imagine that? On just Thursday night, they were losing it, trying to make green flag stops. But you really don't want to lose it, because if you do spin out on that access road practically down there, Jeremy, that will not be a caution through iRacing services, because obviously it is down on the apron, not up on the racing surface. But you're seeing the 23 right now, he could use a caution here pretty soon.
Yeah, you just saw him hit the wall there off corner exit again there. That's like the 3rd time I think he's visited the outside retaining wall at Darlington. And yeah, it's crazy how he gets loose again off of 4A. He really needs that thing, as we got 2 laps to go before stage in. It's just crazy how difficult this track is. If you just look at, once again, the 23 just can't get enough of the outside wall here. Really needs to get that thing repaired. I'm making a lot of changes to get that car running okay-ish, because I know he took a pounding there that first time. But this track just so tough because it's so thin. From an overhead view, this track looks like there's 10 different lanes to run, but no, it's all huddled up at the top half of the track. So it just makes it really challenging, especially how there's a good camera angle there for you. The corner exit seemed like kind of tighten the radius. Like I said, the center of the corner is a sweeping corner. Just plays a lot of tricks on you and just so hard to grasp. But as we're coming up to the end of stage break here, waiting for the 10th place car to cross the line, and you will see the yellow presented by Roasted Gems Coffee. As now we got a show on our hands, Jason. The 2 fastest guys now, 1 and 2, going to come up on this restart.
Yeah, we're going to have to see here as the Roasted Gems Coffee caution flag comes out for the 2nd time tonight, this time being for the stage-ending finish right here. But yeah, Jeremy, I really think Richie Coy's got something. You talked about it last year. Won this race by 4 seconds. But I tell you what, man, Troy Torgerson, the RPM guys, they brought something here tonight. That Gray Ghost number 39 Camaro is really looking stout. Pulled out to about a 3.5-second gap. But also, mind the fact, Richie Coy was mired back in traffic. He was coming from deep in the field, if not all the way at the tail end, having that EOL penalty from last week that came into play into tonight's event. So, that being said, who's going to win the race off pit road? And if it comes out the same way as what they're going to be coming in here, it's going to be one hell of a show here on the restart between these 2 guys.
And we're going to kick it the picture-in-picture commercial break. We're going to watch and see who does come out of pit road first as we take it over to thank a few of our sponsors. We'll be right back. And welcome back here, guys, to full screen action. We got a lap and a half left around this track, and so I mentioned it during the pre-race that we're bringing some cameras, some audio from these drivers, and I think we're going to try to get a hold of one of the Boomerang Motorsports drivers, number 57, Joshua Johnson. You see him on your overhead screen right here. We're going to bring him in. Mr. Joshua Johnson, this is Jeremy in the Nerd TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing good, man. I know you had a couple tags with the wall there. How do you think the car is after the repairs, and do you think you have anything to get back up there, at least mid-pack or toward the front?
That's a little tight with the damage right now, but I'm trying to get it fixed. Hopefully we can get a quick caution. I can get back in the lead lap. So I wasn't really fighting guys whenever I was not fighting them for Lucky Dog. So hopefully I can get a lead lap and then see what I got.
Yeah, 10-4. I see you're making that pit stop here, so I won't waste any more time. I just want to get your thoughts before we go 120 laps to go all the way to the end. Good luck the rest of the way, man.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And that was Joshua Johnson there. Boomerang Motorsports driving that throwback Heinz 57 Chevrolet Camaro. Looks great on track. One of my favorite skins so far as well. After talking about it for a little bit with the Nerd TV guys. He's going to make his pit stop here. And he's open for that quick caution. He needs more repairs done to that machine to get it 100%.
Yeah, he definitely does. And I mean, obviously, you know, with such an early incident for him, I mean, it's going to be very, very hard to rebound. But at the same time, because of the early incident, he very well could reach his way up inside the top 10, maybe even top 5. We've seen plenty of times here in the FTSR division, you know, where you've seen guys have miserable days. I mean, just take Richie Coy's example at Kansas last week or a couple weeks ago for the Truck Series, and he came all the way back from a miserable race into the wall, door slamming, spinning through the grass, and came all the way back to, I believe, finish inside the top 5. If not, I believe it was a win, if I am correct. So it can happen. Don't doubt it.
It is absolutely true. There is a chance for sure. As you can see, the pace car back down. Going to go green flag here for stage 2. Restart's going to happen on lap 66. Green flag is out here, and the top 2 fastest guys on the track are now leading this thing. This is going to get real fun here, Jason, for these opening laps.
Yeah, this is going to get fun. You see Troy Torgerson, he dove it down to the corner, kind of drifted up, thought Richie Coy was going to try and cross over, but it just wasn't enough. You're seeing Josh Johnson right there. We just talked to him. He's coming off pit road, going to try to see what he can do, try to salvage here for the day for the Darlington 250, so maybe he can get some luck, might be repairing some damage still. But this is the battle we have been anticipating ever since we went to the last commercial break. The 19, the 39. Who has the better car? Richie started all the way in the back, was going to start at the front. He had the pole, started in the back because of the EOL from last week's event at Kansas, and now he's battling with a guy who has practically dominated this race so far. Up and into the wall in the back of the field right there. That was Brian Dublé. He makes a little bit of contact with Lewis Meglin there. Heading into turn number 3, they all get it back going. But Richie Coy, though, back up at the front of the field, he is putting some pressure there on your race leader, Troy Torgerson, looking to the inside of the race. They're single files. They go back into 1.
Yeah, that could have been big. You know, we got more contact here. Looks like Wayne Garassi made some contact with the 14 of Lane Allen through turn 1 and 2. Able to gather it up. A little more looseness there by the 7 there. It's going to allow the 67. Here you have James Wallace to pass on the outside. We haven't seen too many turn 3, turn 4 passes here at the simulated Darlington Speedway, or Raceway rather, but there it is. James Wallace makes the pass there. Michael Blackner right behind him, trying to take a look. Had to back up. Did not going to make the pass effort here. That could have been big, though, that Brian Dublé wall slap for sure. Being in front of a bunch of guys right after a restart here, but kept it straight, kept it clean, good to go. But yeah, I'm still focused right now. A couple cameras, really. Of course, the top 2. This is going to be my favorite battle to watch, most anticipated. But this mid-pack is still heating up here.
Hey, I got something to say. Remember yesterday at the end of a stage in particular, who was in second trying to go for the stage win on Ross Chastain? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was the number 19. So maybe, even though these are 2 very talented guys, maybe they'll take one another out here. It's happened at Darlington. It happened yesterday, not once, but twice. Once when Martin Truex Jr. going for the stage on Ross Chastain in the corner that they're in right now. And then Chastain drove up and into the wall, drove him and Larson up while they were on the front row on a late race restart. It can happen. But look at this. They have not pulled away from the field. TJ Bartel, Chad Lang, and Stephen Allen are still back there. They're back from the lead all the way back to Stephen Allen, who's only 1.2 seconds back. TJ Bartell, though, another RPM guy, he has got something for these two guys, which one of them is his teammate here in that number 39, Troy Torgerson. So maybe, just maybe, he can make his way up to the field, along with Chad Lang, who's had a great night as well.
Richie Coy in the middle of an RPM and cheese sandwich here, as Richie is just putting a great deal of pressure on the 39. I know Doyle in our chats is definitely cheering this on, seeing his two drivers first and third at the time at lap 72 there. Jeff Chandler back on the chat saying just got to pace yourself and not overheat the right rear. That is absolutely true, and he's coming from one of the guys or the team that's been running the fastest overall here tonight. So definitely take that word of advice there from Jeff. Richie Coy just not letting go, and you're starting to see third, fourth, fifth, sixth. They're starting to fall back from these top two. So that mid-race run starting to take effect here, Jason. The top two are pacing themselves a little bit faster.
Jeff Chandler in the chat, he actually mentions a great point with that right rear, but you also got to mention the fact, too, both of those right side tires, that right front, if you're really killing it practically, you have no drive off of turns 2 and 4 here. But you're seeing these guys, they're doing a great job with their tire management. Ever since they made their best laps, whenever it was in the race, we so far, from when we last pitted, we have fallen off of the timesheets by about 0.3 of a second almost from when we went green. So tire fall off is starting to become a factor. Every 5 to 10 laps, you're seeing about 3 to 4/10 of a second, if not more, of fall off. But so far, these guys up at the front of the field, Fury Motorsports versus RPM. Here comes Richie Coy. He is hunting down that number 39 as he works his way into 1.
Going through 1:19, Richie Coy backs it up once again. Knows he has the better car when it comes to corner exit. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to take all my words back, as the 19 just said, hey, maybe not so much. Had a super tight moment there, maybe a little too much throttle on exit. Door slaps really hard there, so now it's going to give the 39 at Torgerson about a 10 car length advantage here this time at the line. Now the question instantly switches to how much damage does 19 have, and is it going to affect his car in this long run?
See, maybe our boy Dustin here in the booth can probably give us a drone shot like we usually do when we always observe the damage over here on Nerd TV. That 19 popped that wall really, really hard, Jeremy, off turn number 2, just like his teammate Brody Hanna did here earlier on in the race. Taking a look at the damage from the drone cam, not seeing that much. It looks like there's practically no damage on the side of that 19. So maybe he's just got the golden horseshoe stuck up his butt, like Kevin Harvick says to Jimmy Johnson back in 2010. I don't know, but Richie Coy, he better be thankful right now. Maybe somebody can relay him the message that he doesn't have any damage. But I guarantee you, though, Jeremy, he probably feels that he doesn't have a lot of damage if that car is driving the way it is right now, which is practically the same from prior to him hitting the wall just a handful of laps ago.
And there's your nightly stat poll there from Jason Rockefeller, pulling up the 2010 incident with Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson. I have no idea how the 19 had. Yeah, as just how. I don't know. Gotta ask this guy this. But I'm seeing the 19 is a little tighter on exit still, but visually no damage. I don't know how that's even possible. Not a scratch even, it looked like. So just caught the wall at the right moment, I guess, here. So it goes back to, since the car's clean, and the long run seems to be okay, you just gotta play the patient game. And I know that TJ Bartell is trying to put the pressure on the 19 if he can to help the 39 in any possible way he can. But it's going to take a little bit longer before we see the 19 make that approach back to first.
Though here, Jeremy, I don't think the 19 is being put pressure on from the 30 at all whatsoever right now, because the 30 is practically got to be mirror driving right now, because the 4 of Chad Lang is almost getting to his bumper a lot here recently. Another guy, too, who's coming to the picture we talked about earlier. Obviously, he must have made some adjustments towards the tail end of the stage. He was falling off a little bit, but here he is, James Wallace, back at it. He is climbing up into the top 5 almost, trying to look to get around the guy who started in 5th. He's still in 5th. That's Lane Allen in the 14 machine right now as he works his way into 3. This 67 car here, I think with a few adjustments, a few cautions possibly here, Jeremy, I just think that the 67 of James Wallace might just be the 3rd best car out here on the racetrack, because right now he is running some solid lap times. They're not the fastest, but when it gets late into a run, I've seen James Wallace click off lap times by about 0.4 of a second quicker than the guys inside the top 5. So don't count out James Wallace in the 67. But also, too, Richie Coy, you talked about him, Jeremy. Those lap times haven't really fallen off from hitting the wall as well. He's been doing a great job as well currently. He's only back by about a tenth or two here compared to Troy Torgerson. And at points, he was faster than him as well.
Yeah, I was actually watching the James Wallace onboard there, and it showed exactly how the 19 and the 67 of Wallace himself is doing so well in this long run. He goes right up to the outside wall and then makes a sharp cut to really straighten out corner exit. And you carry so much speed here doing so. Actually, I look at the 67 that time going through 3 and 4, kind of around the bottom. So now he's trying to change up his line. But when he runs that top and cuts the corner down low, it do use up a tire a little bit more. But you get such a great launch of momentum and speed off the corner exit. It really just eats up all that lost ground there in the first half of the corner. And it looks like for some of these guys, how they built their setups, this is the preferred way to get themselves around the track, at a faster pace as this run continues.
Yeah, and that's going to be a thing to look out for with James Wallace, with him being able to go all the way to the top, diamonding the corner, and cutting back down to the inside of the racetrack. That's going to help him on the early runs. A lot of guys do that, but if he's doing that in the medium run, sure, it's going to help him. But towards the end of the long run, that's probably, Jeremy, why he was falling off a little bit by just a couple positions towards the end of the stage back at lap 61 there at the end. He was falling off a little bit, and that could be a possibility. You talk about tire wear, that's going to shred the tires just a little bit more, and that's because you're lane switching, lane changing, whatever you calling it. He ain't staying in his own lane, as they say. So if James Wallace, I think, wants to save a little bit of tires, he's got to stop doing that. He's fast. I think he knows he's fast. That 67 car has been a guy who's really been around all season long, been super, super fast, had some tough breaks. Some races, he just wasn't all that. But then there's some races where he was super fast. I believe at Kansas last week he was super fast, didn't play into his factor at all. So he's looking to try to rebound here tonight, and he's closing in on lane out in that 14.
He's doing a great job in trying to get himself into the top 5 for the first time this evening. And he keeps playing this patient game and running his line. He'll definitely get there. As you're seeing some action here in the back, a little side-by-side action. Looks like the 91 of Justin Dilts to the outside here of the 33 of Williford. And the 91 hits the wall in that really early part of turn 1. Misjudged that corner entrance. It's going to allow the number 11 of Tony Solari to get around him on the inside rather. And these are the two guys that brought out our only green flag situation caution here. So now they're again finding each other 60 laps later on this race.
And they're still really, really far back right now, Jeremy. They're still 20th and 21st right now. There are guys who are back here who just haven't had a good race. And this is one guy in particular continuing, no matter what we do, what lap, he continues to pop the wall. You saw him just brush it there, just give it a little bit of a kiss there with the right rear in the center of 1 and 2. And that's Brody Hannon, the 23 Reese's Ford Mustang, throwing it back to Kevin Harvick's Reese's car. Oh, he gets caught by the 44, and the 23 is going to go around. He saves it, though, in front of the field. No, he doesn't. Locks it up right on the inside. Will the caution come out? This is going to be a huge moment. He stays on the racetrack. No caution for the time being. Brody Hanna losing it off the corner, and he's going to keep it going here down the front straightaway.
I don't know how the caution didn't come out, and I don't know how the 23 didn't wreck and take others with him. What an excellent drive after that contact was made to not lose control of that car whatsoever. You're going to see just 44 Chris Beck just slams him right there in the left rear. Get a little assistance there off the rear side of the 44 to straighten him out, and then he got loose again. And right here is where I thought the game was definitely going to throw a caution, but did not. He waited for the traffic to pass through, turns it left, gets it going straight. But that's going to lose so much time for the 23 as he's almost about to go a lap down already, which he just did that time around. So huge implications there from that contact.
And that's absolutely huge. And whoa, what is going on here? He is really holding up the 19 of Richie Coy here. This is interesting. I mean, he almost just put his teammate right there into the wall. I mean, I'm not trying to start anything or anything like that, but that was really, really harsh right there on the 19 of Richie Coy. He is struggling to pass the 23 machine right now as he heads his way off turn number 4. Hanna up and into the wall, but Coy still struggling to get around him. I wonder if there's something going on between those two. I can't really imagine that there would be, though, because these guys are teammates. They're buddies. I don't really know what's going on here, but, I mean, Brody Hanna, what a save for him. I'm not surprised, though, that the caution did not come out, and here comes the 30 of TJ Bartell. That's going to be a pass on him for the second place right now, and this is obviously bringing in James Wallace, Chad Lang, and Lane Allen here on the bottom of the racetrack. They're following that 19. They're going to get around the 23 here in the 1.
19 finally gets around his, well, maybe not. He had a check up there, but so did the 23. 19 finally clears Brody Hanna here. And now James Wallace sees the door open, quickly makes that pass, but man, the 19 has lost over 2.5 to 3 seconds just in that 3 laps exchange there, waiting to get around his teammate. And then you see the 67 get around with no problem. The 4 of Chad Lang hits the wall. I think he's still going to get around no problem as he gets the corner exit here. Nope, a little bit of looseness from both the 23 and the 4. So it's going to hold up the 14, the 7. It looks like the 89 as well. Get to 1 and 2. Brody really down low. Ooh, almost overdrove the corner entrance. Had to really get off the throttle, but it's going to allow everyone else to pass. 23 loose on the bottom, and he saves it one more time. Those tires are completely shot there in that Reese's Ford Mustang.
He needs to pit right now. There's no reason to be out there causing havoc right now and causing possibly a caution. And he might come into pit road right here. And no, he actually stays out right now. I think he's hoping for a caution, but I tell you what, I don't really think Brody Hanna is going to get a caution. And if it is going to come out, it's going to be because of that number 23 machine. He has struggled all night. I don't think all season long we've seen Brody Hanna struggle this badly. Obviously came in here 38 points back to his teammate Richie Coy. That was going to be a hopeful scenario for him if Richie Coy had a bad night and the 23 had a great night, if not a win. But it's pretty much the opposite right now. Richie Coy doing a great job at third. This is probably his championship to win. And the 23, just a heartbreak scenario for him here.
Yeah, 1 lap down and then some. Just really losing a lot of time here. The lap times are at a really slow pace. But we're on now focus on the number 30 of TJ Bartell, who after all that has resumed second place. So RPM Motorsports 1 and 2. And they have a 5-second separation between first and second. And then Richie Coy is a second behind the number 30 car there. So top 2 have really separated themselves out basically from the rest of the field. As if we can pull up the track map, we'll see just how separated everybody is around this 1.36 mile speedway. And a lot of guys coming through turn 2 in the back stretch. Front stretch is still pretty open. Surprisingly, you see you only guard the race leader with that massive 5.5 second gap here, separation. And you can see what 5.5 seconds looks like at Darlington. Leader turn 2, exit of turn 2 now, as everybody else is now in the middle of 1. So this gives you an idea of what that time gap looks like.
Well, I guess when you're the leader, you can practically have an entire straightaway to yourself here, Jeremy. Troy Torgerson putting a whooping on the field yet again from that first stage, almost 6 seconds right now over TJ Bartell, his teammate. So RPM definitely came to play here today. Thought the Fury Motorsports guys were going to dominate, and unfortunately that is not the case. Richie has been fast. He popped the wall once, no damage. And obviously we all know the story with Brody Hanna and the 23 Reese's Ford Mustang. He has had a tough night. This is going to be a night that Brody Hanna probably wants to forget. But there is a lot of little specks and pieces on that track map that you're starting to see some good battles. One in particular, these guys in the back, we just saw one car get into the wall right there. I believe that was Michael Blackner in the number 87 machine with Brian Dublé there in the 37. These guys are all bunched up. They've been having one hell of a battle here the last few laps, side by side, all the way from Chad Lang and Stephen Allen back to those guys. Here we go, off turn 4. You see the 87 pop the wall. 37 almost gets into him. They all save it. They're all able to get by Michael Blackner in the 87 machine. But there's a lot of guys who are battling for position here late in the going at Darlington as we're approaching lap 100.
89 also a Fury Motorsports driver is the 23 of Brody Hanna coming down pit road. Just cannot handle it anymore. Going to come to the service of his team members to get those tires changed, get maybe the fender flares pulled out a little bit more for some extra downforce, and see what they can't do to get that car at least back up in somewhat contention here. Slides into his box, Yeah, it's smack center. And getting changes. I think Dustin in my ear just said he's changing his Reese's Pieces right now. All 4 of them to get around this track.
Yeah, one thing I'm gonna say here as being a guy from the north, I cannot stand, Jeremy, when people say Reese's. It's Reese's. They say it in the commercials. He's getting some Reese's Pieces fixed, like Dustin said. It ain't Reese's. I'm telling you right now, for people in the chat, it's Reese's, not Reese's. And I'm pretty sure everybody should agree with me on that one. Trust me. Everybody in the world should agree with me on that one. But that Reese's number 23 machine is back out on track. Hopefully he was able to fix the damage, maybe make a couple minor adjustments, if not major, to that 23 machine who's had an abysmal night practically. This is not going to be his season 8 title to lose, but still a while to go. We still have a few other side championships during the season and then the overall champion at the end of the year. So this is not the end-all, be-all for the 23 of Brody Hanna. Still has a long, long way to go this season. This is just a partial schedule in the multiple race schedule that we have here, which is a beauty of the FTSR, obviously. And that's why I absolutely love these guys. They do mini championships, keeps you invested all season long.
Yeah, keep my grammar in check and the spelling and everything. You are correct about that Reese's spelling. But since you're from a different part of the continent, or at least not the continent, rather, but the U.S. here, you tell me, is it caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
No,
Caramel.
it's caramel. See, that's the difference.
I say it both ways. Both ways. I'm guilty
It's
of both
caramel
ways.
down here.
Hey. It's data. It's not data. You don't say data.
No, it's data.
Oh no, it's not.
Oh,
No,
it is.
I'm just glad that from being in Jersey, I don't say coffee or dog. That's the Jersey white trash people down the shore, and unfortunately, I'm part of that group, but I'm at the beginning of the shore, so I guess I qualify for not really Jersey Shore. I don't know what you call it, but I'm glad I say coffee and dog. One thing I say awkward that my girlfriend's always telling me though is chocolate. I say chocolate. I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with chocolate.
But you drag it out.
Yeah, I guess I drag it out too much. Kind of like how Troy Torgerson has dragged his lead out here at almost 7 seconds right now over his teammate TJ Bartel.
Yeah, 7 seconds for sure. And these guys aren't driving race cars either. They're driving race cars. So
I hate
coming
you.
through turn. Yeah, you're welcome for that there. As the 57, Josh Johnson gets out of the way of the race leader, 39, opens the door. And then here comes Brody Hanna on those 4 fresh set of Reese's Pieces. Let's see what he can do here. Gets around real quick on the 57. A little too much speed here coming off corner X. Had to check up a little bit, but he'll get one of his laps back right now. Brody's logged 3 laps down. Will become 2 laps down. And he's got 3 cars to pass to get back to lead or Lucky Dog contention. That's going to be the number 37 of Dublé, who's 2 laps down, and the number 6 of James Torrey, and the number 87 of Michael Blackner. Those guys both are 1 lap down each. So he's got a couple cars to pass before he's considered Lucky Dog.
I tell you what, we were just talking about that gap that Troy Torgerson had on his teammate TJ Bartel last time around. It was 0.4 of a second faster than Torgerson. That last time around now, it was about 0.2 of a second faster than Troy Torgerson. So TJ Bartel might have something for the super long runs, but we will have to see. Still a long way to go here. By far, these guys are going to have 1 to 2 more pit stops for sure. Some of these guys last pitted on lap 62. So if I had to say and think to myself, I probably would expect these guys to probably be pitting here within the next 10 laps here, Jeremy, more than likely.
Yeah, I'd imagine that window's definitely going to open up here. Less than 80 or 70 to go here. It doesn't look like there's going to be any cautions, at least at this point in time. So you basically just want to plan to cut this thing in half to even out the tire wear, because you know what it feels like now, and you want it to feel very similar toward the end of the race to be very predictable on how the cars are going to treat you. But I'd like to give a shout out to one of our partners here while we're in the midst of everything. We're going to shout out the Butt Kicker. Offers innovative hardware and software designed to give passionate gamers a deeper level of gaming immersion. The Gamer 2 unit is the standard in the sim racing world. Give sim racers haptic transducer feedback system. Each It basically easily applies to any center post of a chair, but you can put on any chair that you're really sitting on to bring the bumps and the feels of the racetrack directly to your sim rig. So if you want to check out what they have to offer, you're going to head over to thebuttkicker.com. Check out all their lineups that they have for your sim rig. It is much needed to complete that sim feel.
Yep. Well, go get the butt kicker, I guess.
Basically, that's what it says, and that's what I recommend. I know we got it here in the Nerd headquarters, and it does not let us down one bit. We're on board here with Wayne Grossi in the number 7 Xerox Chevrolet Camaro here. Currently, Wayne Grossi sitting in 8th place, just a -1 little hiccup. Had a very quiet night so far here. All these throwback skins, minus the 14. Everybody else is in a Valvoline or a Xerox skin around him, or even the Richard Petty style throwback STP. It gets a little 14, gets a little loose actually off of turn number 4 that time. Starting to see some tire wear show up on a bunch of these cars.
Yeah, Robert Malikian must have a long run car, but I mean, he was actually slower than the top 3 guys ahead of him by a drastic amount. I mean, TJ Bartel last time around, that was only 0.2 of a second faster than him. Robert Malikian ran a 32-second lap time. Richie Coy ran a 31:42, and Troy Torgerson ran a 31:21. But man, oh man, I tell you what, there are a lot of guys who have a good chance of trying to make something work for Tor Torgerson. I mean, if it wasn't for some issues with the 23 and the 19 pop on the wall, I mean, Troy Torgerson probably right here, Jeremy, would not have as big of a lead as he does. But obviously that car is super hooked up over at RPM Motorsports, and also the 30 as well. But that 39's got it together a lot more than the 30 team does. He has just been putting an absolute whooping on the field here in that Buddy Baker Gray Ghost throwbacks. He's looking to get around Ryan Hedrick right there. That's going to put him 1 lap down in the 16th position. So maybe we can get a caution here late in the going, Jeremy, kind of shuffle some things up. Maybe we're going to get to see some guys up at the front of the field who haven't had a shot at this lead, because I personally do believe that Troy Torgerson is not done from having any sort of battle for the lead with anybody else here tonight.
Yeah, if you're the 39, you're definitely not hoping for this caution, right? He is definitely in control, and even on pit road. So you having a 7-second lead over everybody else at minimum. If it were me, I would be running this thing to the very end of my fuel run in comparison to some of these other guys who might shortcut it. And I say that because you have the time to lose, right? You're losing a couple seconds per lap, so you're able to offer maybe up to 3 to 4 laps more. So you let them all do their pit stops, secure your spot on the track. Because if you pit first and you get caught with the caution flag, then all of a sudden you have to start passing some cars to get back to where you were. As to if you kind of pit later in the cycle, you can kind of guarantee yourself being in the top 3, top 4. Don't have to work for that lead as much because you got such a bad fast car. Why risk it like Richie Coy had to do early on? Had to pass everybody. He did it cleanly up until he tagged the wall, but he was first, second place at that point. But outside of that, control your fate. I think if you run the late run, the 39's got it.
I think right now, looking at the guys who are on the lead lap, because obviously pit stops are approaching in a hurry, I think if there's one guy who should try to trigger this, or if not, we got a crash on the front straightaway. Big crash there, hard into the inside wall. The 2 of Alan Duranco saw him slide all the way across the front straightaway. No caution. That was a super hard, hellacious hit to the inside retaining wall for the 2 of Alan Duranco and the Miller Light Ford Mustang. He is still hitting the wall. That thing definitely has something broken in the car. He'll have to come down pit road. But so far, no harm, no foul out on the racetrack when it comes to positions besides Alan Duranco. We'll have to take a look here at what happened this lap prior. But that's the guy right there I was just going to say who should probably come in, was going to be the 14 of Stephen Allen. I think if he wants to try to make something the most of anything here, I think he should definitely pit and try to take that undercut, being a driver who's got a fast car and he knows he has what it is to get it done. You just see here, right here, the 2 just loses it, man. And then right here, coming up the racetrack, I believe this was probably a lap prior. We're going to have to see again as we work the way around 1 and 2. He was battling with the 67 of James Wallace. I believe these were the 2 cars that did get together. Obviously, we know the 2 right here is going to be involved, and they're approaching the 4 of Chad Lang. I think the 67
this is it.
machine. Yeah, this is definitely it here. You see the 67. I believe he's actually on fresher tires here. And you just see him coming off the corner. The 4, the 2 just loose. Pops the outside wall hard with the right front. Down. I cannot believe we haven't had a caution yet here tonight for something like this.
And that was too much damage for the number 2 of Duranco to continue. He has backed out of his Ford Mustang. The number 2 done for the night, and also the 87 of Michael Blackner also done for this evening. So 3 cars, too much damage to continue. Troy Torgerson has slowly started to lose his pace over his teammate. Only 6.2 now. It was 7 about a handful of laps ago. So, but Richie Coy, he was holding about 9 seconds back of Troy. Now he's 11 seconds back. So that long run pace of that car is basically gone with that damage that you can't see on the camera. But he's definitely feeling it in the car. He was super fast, and all of a sudden he's really slow here late in this run. You might see the 19 come in here real quick.
Yeah, he definitely could. I mean, it's really all depending on who's going to pit when. You know, I mean, we talk about these guys pitting. I still cannot believe nobody up in the top 10, notably, has come into the pits just yet. I mean, these guys are going over 60 laps on tires. I mean, they last pitted on lap 62. James Wallace is the first one on fresh Goodyear Eagles from lap 104, and he right now is pacing these guys by almost 2 seconds. Lewis Meglin of the 43 machine finally comes into the pits. He comes in from, I believe, the 12th spot. Here we go. You're starting to see other guys come on pit road as well. I believe right there who we were just looking at was a Valvoline car, and that was the 27 of Ryan Chapman. So it wasn't a Valvoline car, just looks like it. He's going to be
There it
another one
is.
to come in. Doors are wide open right here coming to the pits. Robert Malikian in the 22 machine comes in. He was up there. So now the door is wide open here, Jeremy.
Yep. Some takers here. I saw the 27 of Chapman bounce off the wall a lap ago off turn 1 and 2, so I knew he was looking to come in regardless, and I kind of sealed that fate. He's going to visit his crew right now on the box a little further forward, but I think he's good. Yep, 2 tires are up. He's fine. Race leader still on track. Richie Coy still on track here. The top 5 are still basically locked in here. I don't see anybody else coming down pit road this time, so some early takers here.
Yeah, some early takers for sure. And obviously, you know, this is gonna open up a door, like I had just said, when it comes to coming into the pits here. Here comes 19 of Richie Coy, Troy Torgerson. He was just in. Here comes Richie Coy. He wants to try to do something, maybe try to be on the same strategy as Troy. Thinks it's gonna be what it takes to get to him, possibly. TJ Bartel, he's also into the pits. Lots of guys, though. Various strategies here late in the going at Darlington.
Looks like we got one other person coming in into pit road as well. It's going to be the 14 of Lane Allen. He's going to give up 7th place for his spot there. It looks like the number 4, Chad Lang's going to give up 6th place. You got another one, too. The Crisco 33, Mashur Williford gives up 8th place. So a bunch of people inside the top 10 finally making their pit stops.
Yeah, everybody's in right now. Colton Gum, you said Sherwood Williford, Richie Coy, he's out and away. Justin Diltz as well. The strategies are varying so much. Wayne Grossi yet to pit. Also, Tony Solari, Ryan Hedrick, they are yet to pit as well. They might just be trying to bank on a caution, or they're trying to basically one-stop this all the way to the end here and then take one good pit stop and try to make up some ground. But, I mean, by the time that they pit, they're going to lose so much time when they come out of the pits. But change of plans. Here comes Wayne Grossi. He's coming to the pits this time by. Will Ryan Hedrick coming as well here? He last pitted on lap 62. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, your race leaders, 39 and 30, they snuck in. They're already back on track. Pit stops completed. Everything went smooth there. You see Wayne Grossi. Yep, he was one of the very last to make this pit stop happen other than James Wallace, which just passed him right before the start-finish line. James Wallace going to get himself a lap lead. We should see him come down real quick. 42 of Malikian just exiting pit road himself in that 42 Bell South Ford Mustang. And the number 37, Brian Dublé, I think he's going to be the last car to make that pit stop.
Yeah, we're going to have to see here. In the 67 machine, he probably had a solid strategy. I mean, he's got tires that are only about 22 to 24 laps older
than these guys, but he's got 0.8 of a second over the field. I tell you what here, Jeremy, I think if James Wallace can somehow, some way save tires just a little bit, once they equalize, I think that he might have something for Troy Torgerson. But again, these are 24-lap older tires. That last time around, James Wallace, 30.54. Troy Torgerson, 0.3 faster than him that last time around. So, I mean, we're going to have to see. But also, too, this lap traffic right here in front of Troy is aiding James Wallace because it gives him more time to save his tires up at the front of the field and get Troy Torgerson to use those tires up more and more. So we're going to have to see if this undercut from James Wallace is going to work here with those 24-lap older tires.
A little bit of a down motion to 44. Chris Beck, I think, blocked the run there on the bottom. They're focused on the race leader here, who's just behind his group of cars. One of the very few guys to run the top half of turn 3. Coming off, gets a great launch off of turn 4. He's going to come up to Wayne Grossi here to make that pass. And I don't think you have enough saving to do to hold off this number 39, who's just on a different zip code. Already a whole second gain since you mentioned it a couple laps ago. Troy 7 seconds now behind the 6-7 race leader, James Wallace.
Yeah, and I mean, he's gaining just a little bit, ever so slightly. Now he's about half a second faster than James Wallace ahead of him. Troy only back by a little over 6 seconds right now, and that gap is closing more and more and more. But he's got to deal with the guys who are in front of him. You see the 7 of Wayne Grossi, the 44 of Beck. These are all guys who are trying to stay on the lead lap right now, and they're all just fighting and clawing right now for position just in case a caution comes out right now. So they're not just going to let Troy Torgerson by. They're going to fight him super, super hard, and they are also going to fight very, very hard for position for if the caution comes out. You can just see how much trouble the 39 of Torgerson is having getting around Wayne Grossi there in that 7 Alan Kowicki throwback. This is huge for James Wallace in the 67, who's just 5 seconds up the road.
And the 7 looked like he blocked the 39's run into turn 1, and then right now Chris Beck gives up that spot to the 7 and the 39. And now does the 7 let him by? He knows the car is so much faster, just based off of that little short run that they've had so far. But right now the 7's still maintaining actually through off of turn 4 and into turn 1, about a 5-car length advantage on the 39 as we're riding on board the roof camera of Troy Torgerson. Now 4.5 seconds away from James Wallace. Even though he's battling a bunch of traffic, he's still gaining a lot of time.
He is gaining a ton of time and a quick amount of time as well. Now only back right now by about under 4 seconds that last time around. We're looking once Troy's lap appears. He is an entire second faster than James Wallace. So if I were James right now, this is a huge plus for him when it comes to track position from where he started. So this would be a plus for him if he could finish inside the top 5, top 10. But obviously he wants more than that. What he wants right now is a nice caution, Jeremy.
Yeah, that would suit a lot of these drivers out here. They are probably hoping and praying that somebody makes a mistake. But we're going to go to picture-in-picture commercial break for the final time this evening. These guys are really spaced out. It's a great time to thank our partners one last time. So we'll be back with you guys after a few messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hey, back to full screen action here as we're coming up to lap 142 of scheduled 184. That's going to give you guys about 43 laps left in this event to close out 2023A. We saw a couple guys get a little messed up. 23 Brody had to come down pit road again. But outside of that, everyone is really spaced out. You see on your camera just how spaced out it is, about 10 plus car lengths per car for the most part. As you get to the track map, minus turn 1 right now, there's cars on every part of this track. As a 67, we were talking about him, 22 laps older tires. He's making his pit stop, cannot handle it anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for James Wallace, and he's more than likely going to go, obviously, a lap down and be way mired back in traffic, so he's definitely going to be out of it. I mean, you never know. Maybe something could happen for him, but I just can't see it happening here. I mean, Troy Torgerson, though, Jeremy, has put just, oh my goodness, like a clinic on this field practically. He's got almost 10 seconds on his buddy here tonight, and that's TJ Bartell, the number 30, his teammate, and Robert Malicki in there in the number 22 machine, doing a great job rebounding practically from last week at Kansas, had the lead, hit the wall going into 3, coming to the white flag, lost that race. He just currently dropped back to 4th from Richie Coy. Unfortunate for him for last week, but tonight doing a nice job rebounding inside the top 5 for the rookie.
Yeah, doing an excellent job there, and for a moment I thought maybe he had a decent chance of holding off Richie, but Richie's just too fast here, even with the damage that happened to him about 40 some laps ago. But the 22 is not done. Malikian through turn 3 got real close to the bumper, and turn 4 you can't maintain Richie on corner exit. That's where his car carries all the speed that he brings each and every single lap here. Gives it up through the entrance, but that exit is just so strong with that quick dive to the bottom there. Almost gets to the furthest line down possible, and you can see that speed just pulls so much further than everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, that car has just been so stout here tonight. There have been a lot of cars that had a good chance. It's just, honestly, Jeremy, because of just not having any cautions. And Brody Hanna, can you believe this? Brody Hanna just ran the fastest lap of the race, despite his awful, terrible, no good, very bad night. 29.55 for the driver of the number 23 machine. I guess that's one brave thing to look out for here after this race is over for the driver of the number 23. But, I mean, there have been a lot of times where we thought we were going to have a caution here, Jeremy, and we just haven't had one. There have been a lot of guys who've been super quick. One guy in particular I'm looking at, too, is Steven Allen, still fast on the racetrack in that 14 machine, currently in 7th. But he's had some moments where he really could have caught the 2 leaders at one point, maybe made a pass. Also, Wayne Grossi, he's had a good night tonight. Chad Lang, 9th right now. At one point, he was about 3rd or 4th in this field. And that number 4, Richard Petty throwback, he's doing a good job at 9th. We're just not going to see this unless we get a caution to see if anybody can challenge Troy Torgerson for the race lead here.
When you just brought up Brody Hanna's fastest lap time, it reminds me of the F1 points, where you get points for winning the race. You get a point also for running the fastest lap of the event. So if this were F1, 1 point would be going to Brody Hanna in that 23. I also noticed, too, only 6 cars right now. 6. Wayne Grossi, the last one, on the lead lap. 7th place on back, starting with the number 7th place car of Lane Allen. 1 lap down or more. So a lot of these guys just cannot get the feel for Darlington here tonight.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But I mean, still though, if we get a caution, and now James Wallace fastest that last time around, 29:44 that time around for James Wallace, so he tops out Brody Hanna's fastest lap time. But hey, 6 cars possibly. Now make it 5 as he puts the 7 of Wayne Grossi 1 lap down. But obviously, if the caution comes out now, Wayne Grossi will be given the Martin Sports Get a Grip award, I believe it is. And I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see if we do get a caution here, Jeremy. What kind of race will this provide, being given that there's only 5 cars on the lead lap and everybody else is 1 lap down? Only 5 to 6 cars are going to be realistically battling for this win. It's going to be tight. And you still got to look at Richie Coy, man. What could have been? He's been so fast all night long. Same thing with TJ Bartel in the 30 machine. Those two guys, if we do get a yellow, I think they have something for Troy Torgerson in that 39.
Yeah, only 5 guys on the lead lap now, and Malikian has not really left the 19 so much up until turn 1 and turn 2 that time around. He lost a 10th or so at the corner exit, but he has not left the 19 since he's got passed by him about 5 to 10 laps prior. Little wiggle there from the 22 on corner center end exit, but if he's maintaining right now, if Richie's maybe using his stuff up with a tighter car, we might see this pass swap back. And this is for podium position too. This is for the interview in the booth. This is for top 3 that goes on the stat board. So it's not the race win, but it's more the important positions here if you're watching all the stats.
Yeah, and Robert Malicki in there in the 22 machine, he wants to try to get something here. I mean, he's been doing such a good job, did such a great job last week at Kansas. Unfortunate rookie mistake in the FTSR Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, gets up into the wall in turn 3, coming to the white flag. Here he is tonight, trying to rebound and finish on the podium there in 3rd spot. And who is he about to try to pass here as he almost gets on the wall off turn 2? He's closing on the guy who stole the show from him last week. That's Richie Coy, who, by the looks of it right now, in just a handful of laps, he is going to sweep the Season A titles in both the Martin Sports Truck Series and here as well in the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. So Richie Coy, he has been having a stout and stellar season with only 1 win so far up on the board, coming last week at Kansas, stealing that away from Robert Malikian in the 22 car. But so far, though, Troy Torgerson continuing his march up at the front of the field.
Yeah, 30 laps to go, and Richie will finally be able to be allowed to touch that trophy. As his teammates had some woes, the 2nd place guy in the points. So, I mean, if it wasn't already locked in, technically it's definitely locked in now at this point in time. But James Wallace moving up quick here, gets around Malikian. Now he's going to be the back bumper of the 19. Richie Coy at any moment in time, and Wallace needs to make this push. He really needs to get himself 1st place on the lap down counter to really kind of set himself up, because if he gets a caution, it's going to be great if he can get himself on the lead lap.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can. Obviously, he's got about 18 lap fresher tires than the rest of these guys. Or no, sorry, 22 lap fresher tires now than the rest of these guys here, I believe it is. So, I mean, if James Wallace gets this caution, who knows what's going to happen. But he's still a lap down. You got to think to yourself too, Jeremy. So this would not play into his favor here. He is going to have to get all the way up to Kyle Milliken in the 42 machine, who is seconds and seconds ahead of him. I just don't think it's going to work out right now. These guys all need a caution right now. TJ Bartel closing in the gap just a little bit, but it's still almost 9 seconds back between the 39 and the 30 for those two guys over at RPM Motorsports. They have been so good here tonight. Who thought, really, Jeremy? I mean, we still have some laps to go. Obviously, anything can happen. Stuff can change. But who would have thought coming into this race here this week, because I sure enough didn't, that it wasn't going to be the Fury Motorsports guys dominating like usual. And here comes RPM doing such a great job with the 39 and the 30. 1 and 2, that's usually Fury's doing with Richie and also Brody Hanna. But they flip-flopped it today, man. Troy and TJ, the 2 Ts, they're doing a really good job tonight at Darlington. They are putting a whooping on the field, like I've said multiple times.
Yeah, RPM Motorsports have definitely got something going here. They'll mid to late run in this season, And the way that they're carrying their speed each and every single week now, we are going to see some awesome racing from this team for the entire 2023 year, if they do maintain the whole entire calendar season. But to close it out, 1-2, if they do finish like this will be awesome. A great little headliner here as the season comes to a close for a week before we head to Charlotte here in 2 weeks. But Malikian still not letting go of the 19. This position is still up for grabs at the moment. Troy Torgerson only has an 8.5 second lead over TJ Bartel, so TJ's kind of closed that gap in. Probably a little too late as we got 26 to go, 25 here actually. Probably just not going to be enough, but it does show the speed that TJ Bartel has.
Yeah, and it really does. But I mean, hey, I'm going to bring out some of Larry's trends from yesterday. And the caution came out with 18 laps to go yesterday in the Cup race before everything happened. The average caution, I believe, for all the NASCAR Cup Series races prior to yesterday's was 22 laps to go. Obviously, last week we had a lot of late race yellows here. And then we, I believe, almost went into overtime. So we did have a restart with 2 laps to go. It is possible here, Jeremy, that we can get a late race altering yellow.
Trying to bring the handbook into effect to try to bring some action to these guys. And, you know, you catch guys that are on completely different tire strategies. You might come across a hairy situation that you don't want to be in, as Troy Torgerson actually just lets the number 10 of Colton Gumbaya there on the backstretch. Doesn't want to contend with anybody. And mess up his run here. So good move there by the 39 to do so. Gives up a few seconds to the number 30, but again, no problem there. But we are at 22 to go, Jason. Let's see if you can pull up the Mary McReynolds and present a caution for us.
I think I've done it once this season, if I'm correct, or maybe it was over on an LSR TV broadcast. I've called it. I did do it this season, Dustin said. So maybe I can do it. We'll have to see. 18 laps to go was the caution yesterday. Average for all the 2022 or 2023 races, for the Cup Series prior to yesterday's Darlington race was around 22 laps to go. So, I mean, it's looking like we might see a caution possibly. We've seen guys pop in the wall. You saw Brian Dublé just a couple laps ago pop the wall off turn number 2. You've seen Troy Torgerson flirting with that wall, even though he's been so stout here tonight. And actually, his teammate has gained about almost a second and a half on him. So TJ Bartel, not totally out of this thing. I mean, it's going to be close, but Troy still looks to be the favorite here. I just think that TJ's pace here late in the run, I think it's been really, really strong. Very, very good. He actually just closed in 0.2 more, wrapping around 3 and 4. And that time around, wow, he was faster than his teammate by almost 0.3 of a second there. So TJ has the super, super long run speed. Just the question's going to be, Jeremy, is does he have enough time, or can Troy wear his tires out enough to where TJ can get by him? Just lost a little bit of ground due to going around some of that lap traffic. We're going to have to see, though. This race is not over yet.
I mean, it would be a heroic feat if TJ Bartel could do anything, but I don't think there's enough time being under 20 laps to go in this track, being only 1.3 miles in length. These last 20 laps are going to blow by real quick, especially if you're number 39 of Troy Torgerson. But you mentioned the cautions, and I did too. And then, of course, Doyle on here, being a loyal supporter, watching and saying, hey, no cautions, because, well, he did the artwork and is a part of this team that's right now 1 and 2. So he's on the side of saying, keep that caution flag tucked away. We do not need that thing.
Yeah, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Doyle Lawrence, but it seems like we may have a caution, but maybe not. Everybody is very, very spread out right now. If we could take a look at the track map again, it is still super, super spread out like it has been all night long here. You see a lot of guys entering 3 and 4, a couple of guys sprinkled in around 1 and 2, some coming out of 2 down the back straightaway. But so far, everybody is just all over the place. But that presents opportunities for cautions. You see the 11. Oh, man. The 11 just popped the wall right in front of the race leader. We might just have a yellow here if these guys keep running the way they do. They are virtually
probably sweating in their virtual cockpits because they've been driving for almost 184 laps at Darlington. And I can tell you what, besides dirt racing, this is one of the hardest tracks that is an arm workout for these guys in their virtual simulators here. It is a tough racetrack to race on, especially on old tires.
I know, even running by myself 180 laps here, I'm drenched from head to toe. So when you got to do it around some guys, or in that case where you see the 11 right in front of you hit the wall as your race could potentially go away after having this beautiful lead that he has, is actually we're watching some side-by-side here with the 67 and the 14. 14 loose, saves it. Thank you to the wall for correcting the 14. It's going to allow the 67 of James Wallace to make that pass happen entirely. But handling issues here for the 14 late in the going.
A lot of guys' handlings are going away. Some of these guys have short runs, medium runs, and long runs. I mean, a lot of guys, they knew probably coming to this race from looking at the Martin Sports Truck Series race just last Wednesday is that this race was probably going to be a super long run race, just like it is. That's basically how it was in Road to Pro for most of the race last week on Thursday as well. So that being said, I think a lot of these guys have their cars set up for long runs here, but we'll have to see.
67 of Walls is making a bunch of passes here. Oh, the 42 BellSouth.net saves it. Goes all the way down to the infield wall, but collected his car, and he's good to go. Huge save there, but seeing the 67 of Wallace, he's patching a bunch of cars right now that are only one lap down, and so he's only got a few more to pass before he's going to put himself lucky dog contender if we do happen to get one. Wayne Grassi is the only car left for the 67 to pass, and Wayne Grassi is on the same straightaway, next car in front.
Yeah, and obviously the 67 has way fresher tires than the 7, and he's faster than him by half a second right now. So James Wallace, he very well could get to the 7 of Wayne Grassi right here. The question is, will he have enough time, and will we get that yellow? But I tell you what, though, Jeremy, I'm smelling it. I see it. All I can see right now is yellow, as Coldplay would say right now, because it very well could happen. Keep seeing a lot of guys pop off the wall, man. I'm telling you what, my trends, they might be pointing in the right direction, but who knows? Maybe I'm just bluffing. But, you know, I mean, it could very well happen. We saw it happen last week. We saw it happen in the Cup race yesterday. It can happen, man. Do not think that Troy Torgerson is getting away from this scot-free, because right now everybody is everywhere on this racetrack, and there are infinite amount of opportunities in these next 11 laps to have a yellow.
James Wallace puts himself first person in line for the Lucky Dog Award if it does fly. As you see right now, the 39 of Torgerson is going to come around 3 and 4 to get to 10 laps to go, maintaining a 7.1 second lead over his teammate TJ Bartel. Just nobody around the 39 right now. Absolutely nobody. So far behind, you see some cars fanning out there off of turn 4. Handling list should still continue. That's the lever of Tony Solari this time, giving up the way to a few guys there. Goes back in a more comfortable spot there on the track. His car has not been good for the longest of time, especially, you know, when you hit the wall 3 or 4 times in Darlington, you feel it the entire race.
Pretty much. I mean, Tony Solari's car has completely gone away from him. He's the only one besides James Torrey running outside the 31 to 32 second bracket right now. Last time around, he was about a 33 second lap time. So Tony Solari just hoping to come home with that top 15 spot right now. Currently 2 laps down. No, currently 1 lap down right now. But, you know, look at this. Look what's in front of Richie Coy right now. See that? A lot of traffic here. Going to be interesting to see if he can get away from the 44. Pops the wall off the corner. Man, oh man, the yellow right now is just begging to come out. I could see it. I can hear it. I can smell it. We might be getting a yellow. I keep hyping this up. Knowing my luck, we probably won't. But I typically have a commentator's curse. But we'll have to see here as Troy Torgerson continuing to lead. TJ Bartel, though, only back by 6.5 seconds.
TJ making a really late run push. I don't know if it's because the 39 needs to do anything right. He's got this thing basically locked up, so I pressed the issue. We have 8 laps to go, 7 at the line. He just crosses it now. There's no reason to push it, man. He's got almost a second of a lap, or a second per lap he can give up and still have the race leader at the line. So And as his teammate, the 30, goes around lap traffic, and 39's in clear air, give it up, man. You might as well bring it home safe.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing with Troy Torgerson. He's been so quick, so clean all night long, running practically first all night since he took the lead away. I mean, there's no real reason to push. I mean, give the 30 a reason to push. He could get to you possibly, but right now, by the looks of it, it's not going to happen. Let the 30 make a mistake rather than you make a mistake. You have a 6.5-second gap almost over your own dang teammate. There is no reason to push that race car right now if you're Troy Torgerson. He's doing a great job maintaining that gap. It's only by about a straightaway right now. He's got 6 seconds over his teammate. He's coming to 5 to go. There is no reason for the 39 of Troy Torgerson to push that race car any more than he needs to. He's only got 5 more laps to do it.
Yep, 5 laps to go. The gap is under 6 seconds, 5.8 between the 39 and the 30. 39's got some traffic in front of him. The 47 and the 23. Looks like the 23 is going to give all the space and then some. Quick pass there. And he's going to get around the 47, which I think this is going to give a little extra ground here. TJ, it's just a fun little game here to see how close the 30 of TJ Bartel can get to his teammate. I think they're still going to finish in their positions they're in now. Coming across the line, TJ 0.6 faster to 5.2 with 4 to go.
Man, and this is going to be a what could have been for TJ Bartel. Like, what if he was a little closer? What if he could have put on the pressure on Troy Torgerson? I mean, that gap is now under 5 seconds. What if he would have had more time? Imagine if this race would have been about 190, 200 laps. I mean, TJ Bartel very well could have caught his teammate, but now with only 3 laps to go, I think TJ is just hoping and praying for a caution. He's just hoping to see his teammate come home with the victory and him to come home with a safe second-place run.
Another 0.6 gain there puts him at 4.5 behind Troy. As we're coming up to 2 laps to go, then 39 is not past the 47. 47 into the wall. It's going to allow the 39 to really check up here as he's still side by side with the 47 off of 4. Gets around him. This is going to be huge. They're just making this fun for us. They're going to bring it in really close. As you see the 6.7 of James Wallace, maybe he wants to try to get his lap back, just for funsies. 3.5, a whole second gained over Troy that time.
Still a half a lap to try to see if we can get a yellow here. But all jokes aside, though, Troy Torgerson looking to come home with an easy... Oh, he's up and over the wall! But that's the point, man. You don't want to push that race car too much. And look at that. Barney the Flagman's got the flag in the air. 1 lap to go for Troy Torgerson. And for RPM Motorsports, this is going to be one heck of a night for them. We thought that it was going to be Fury Motorsports taking all the fame and glory here tonight. Richie Coy's going to come home with the championship easily. But RPM, man, Jeremy, they brought something here tonight. And Troy Torgerson, he brought something, and it was a whooping here tonight.
Yeah, him and TJ both doing an excellent job here around Darlington, and your Martin Sports winning moment belongs to RPM Motorsports, especially that 39 of Troy Torgerson bringing home the checker flags this evening. 184 laps scheduled tonight, 184 out of the way. Winner, Troy Torgerson at the Darlington 250.
Yeah, and what a stellar drive for Troy. He's been such a guy you look for at these races when he does come and race these things. I mean, he was quick at the road course back at COTA when I called it. He was quick last week at Kansas. Probably shoulda, coulda, woulda for him. But tonight, he's able to come home with a first-place run. RPM in general, man, they were just lights out here tonight. I mean, like I said, I thought Fury was going to do something tonight. They didn't. Richie, he had something. What could have been, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Just like Troy last week at Kansas, he burns it down in that number 39 Buddy Baker throwback. I have my Buddy Baker Grey Ghost diecast sitting in my shelf right now. That thing looks pretty, and I tell you what, that 39 machine looks pretty doing those burnouts along the inside wall. Look at this, man. Robert Malikian in that 22 machine. What a job to come home 4th after the heartbreaking run for him, and James Wallace comes home 5th there. What a run for him to come back after a late pit call.
39 looked great until he hit the wall there to finally give himself some damage. Stopped the wall a couple times there during his burnout, as he's going to try to do it once more. Gets really close. He's having some fun out there. And this is the 9th different winner in 13 races to kick off 2023. So a really diverse amount of guys getting checkered flags so far this year. But this is going to bring us to our unofficial race results here to go over the top or the 25 cars here for tonight's race at the Darlington 250. Troy Torgerson brings down first place. Teammate TJ Bartel brings it second. Champion winner, Mr. Richie Coy, is going to bring it in third. Robert Malicki in fourth. James Wallace fifth. Wayne Grossi sixth. Chad Lang seventh. Kyle Milliken in eighth. Sherwood Williford ninth. And to round out tonight's top 10, Chris Beck.
Top 20, 11th, Lewis Meglin there in the 43 machine. Stephen Allen in the 14 comes home 12th. Ryan Hedrick 13th. 14th, Brian Dublé. 15th, Colton Gum. 16th, Justin Diltz. 17th, Tony Solari after a tough night, both him and Justin Diltz. 18th, a night I'm sure the Fury Motorsports driver Brody Hanna would want to forget. He comes home 18th, 3 laps down. Joshua Johnson, 19th. 20th, Ryan Chapman.
21st, James Torrey. 22nd, Alan DeRocco. 23rd place, you'll find Michael Blackner. Brandon Elder, 24th. And tonight's final guy in the field, Alan Crowell in the 41, rounds it out in 25th. We're going to bring it to full screen commercial break. Gather up the top 3 one last time for the opening season this year. We'll be right back after a few messages. And back to full screen coverage here to round out and recap this 184 lap event here at the Darlington 250 for the FTSR Mach-1 Performance Cup, guys. And just like we did on Wednesday, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to save our champion for last. We're going to bring in second place to start this thing off. The number 30 machine, Piedmont Chevrolet Camaro, Mr. TJ Bartel. Do you have a copy?
Sure do, guys.
Man, RPM Motorsports is completely on fire here tonight, bringing home 1 and 2. Walk us through the teamwork you guys did and just overall expectations coming into 2023 Part B.
Oh yeah, I think we've been making some serious progress and coming with some faster cars, and it's definitely shown. Troy was absolutely in a zip code of his own there tonight, and I was managing my race well enough to finish where I did. I don't think I had anything for Troy, but really good, solid car all night.
Yeah, TJ, you come home second. Obviously, you RPM boys finished 1-2. And that being said, obviously you said you probably wouldn't have had anything for Troy, but I kept saying it. and your boys in the chat kept saying stop with the yellows. But hey, man, it happens, unfortunately, those late race yellows. Do you think if you guys would have had one tonight, do you think you would have had anything for Troy on the short run?
No. I probably would have lost a couple spots because it took me a while to get going. That's always the way I am at Darlington. I can't do, excuse me, hot laps here. I can't qualify too well, although I didn't do too bad tonight. But generally, I just have a rhythm I get into, and I kind of know what I want out of the car and how to drive it, and it benefits me on long runs big time.
And definitely that last run, I thought maybe your teammate was just giving you some little extra time to get up to him as the laps winding down, but he actually tagged the wall through 3 and 4 at one point. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess TJ's just that much faster there. As Jason said, I think with like 10 to go, if there was about 200 laps in this event, would have that been the case to where you would have actually got up to your teammate?
Well, I checked how far behind I was to him when I got up into second when the other guys pitted and stuff, and I was like 8 point something seconds back, and I'm like, well, if I can maintain this, this is going to be a good finish. And I checked again with like, I don't know, maybe 10 to go, maybe a little bit more, and I'd really cut the deficit down in like half or even more, and I was like, huh. If he gets held up in some lap traffic, maybe I can catch him. But car was really good. I was able to kind of, pace it early on in that last run, and I think that's really what paid the dividends. Because I talked to Troy, and he said that he thinks he drove it a little too hard earlier on, trying to get around some lap cars and stuff, and kind of did his tires in.
Yeah, that'll do it for sure. Before final mentions, I just wanted to tell your teammates, Jeff Chandler and then Doyle Lawrence were in the chat cheering you guys on the entire way. So, way to bring it home for them. P1 and P2 tonight for the team. Final thoughts before we let you go this evening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate all you guys do in the booth. Always like to go back and watch these, and it's greatly appreciated. You guys do a good job, and want to thank Mach-1 Performance for sponsoring this series, and want to thank Brody and the admins because they do a great job and giving us a really solid place to race. The competition tonight, there was a lot of give and take here, which you have to do at Darlington to have a successful race and not be caution filled. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank Jeff for giving us these super fast cars to drive, and thank Doyle Lawrence for this awesome Terry Labonte paint job.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Did look great out there for sure. But go ahead and celebrate with the team, and we will catch you here in 2 weeks at Charlotte.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. And that was the number 30 there of TJ Bartell. And now we're going to bring in tonight's race winner, the guy who just made this race all on his own, Mr. Troy Torgerson. Do you have a copy?
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Welcome to the Mach-1 victory lane here. Awesome job. That car was just on a whole different zip code all night long. I was talking to your teammate just a moment ago, TJ, and he said you had caught some lap traffic later on that kind of took out your tire wear situation a little bit earlier than you expected. Was your car just that much slower toward the end there, or were you just kind of, bringing in your teammate a little bit to make it look a little closer?
For the team, I'm going to say the second one there, but no, I wouldn't blame it on the lap traffic. I mean, some of the guys were trying to stay on the lead lap, and then I was trying to get out of the way of some of the guys with the tires. It seemed like I come out in a little bit of traffic there, and I honestly, I think I was gassing it too much off the corners there, and I was sliding the right front earlier in the run than what I should have, and it wasn't nearly as good as the first long run. I mean, that car was a rocket there until the pit stop, and then I think it was all driver after that. But TJ's known for his long run capability, man. That guy is a hell of a driver, and I'm sure glad he's on my team.
For that being said, obviously you guys over at RPM were super, super fast tonight, man. You didn't just bring a great Grey Ghost throwback scheme, man. You brought a whooping to the field here tonight. And with that being said, obviously TJ said when we were just talking to him that you guys have been building on your performance, building on your setups more and more and more. I just said it during the race. We've seen you have great runs. Even when we haven't seen you, you're still there, man. And here you are. You could have won last week, and here you are. You come home tonight with a win at Darlington. How do you take everything and then bring it into Season B here when you guys head to Charlotte in a couple weeks?
Yeah, how about that? First off, let's the Great Ghost Doyle Lawrence put that blistering great paint job on the car for this race. Man, I got to thank him a lot over at Raven Graphics, man. How that looks sweet. But yeah, as far as momentum going, I mean, a win always generates a little bit momentum, and we have been running good the second half of the A season here, and we got to take it one race at a time. Each track is different. We're finally getting into some tracks that I think benefit me or are to my liking more. We're out of the Martinsville, we're out of the road courses for a little while and stuff like that. But yeah, Great Ghost in Victory Lane.
Yeah, Doyle was definitely in the chats, along with Jeff Chandler as well, both cheering you and TJ on, and you guys did not disappoint to close out the year. 1 and 2 on the boards, just excellent job overall. Floor is yours, final time. What do you have to say about this race overall and your expectations heading off into Part B?
Yeah, I've got to thank RPM Motorsports, Jeff Chandler. You just mentioned him, man. Hell of a boss, man. Doyle Lawrence again for the great throwback today. The team, we had great cars tonight. I got to thank RPM Motorsports again. I got to thank you guys over at Nerd for putting on the broadcast. You guys do a good job, really good job, and Brody and FTSR for a great season A here. And as far as looking forward to season B, let's just keep going forward, man.
Yeah, I'm expecting lots of wins to come from your guys' camp here for Part B. But congratulations on the victory once again. You the 9th different driver to win in 2023 A, and let's see if you can continue that success through Part B. Congratulations. We'll see you in 2 weeks, man.
Sounds good, man. I got to thank a Bruzy as well, man. I always jump right over them.
Yeah, good shout
But
out there.
they're great. They're great. They're great.
Awesome, man. Appreciate slipping in that kind word for your sponsor who's been with you all season long as well. Go and celebrate with the team, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
Yes,
night.
sir. You too. And that was the number 39, Troy Torgerson, winner of tonight's event. Now we got to bring in the third place guy who happens to also be claiming his trophy for the 2023 A season, Mr. Richie Coy in the Mach-1 Performance Victory Lane scene. How you doing, man?
What's up, nerds? I'm tired. That's how I'm doing.
I bet, man. Your car was blistering fast. You got through that field so quick. I didn't expect you before stage break to be in P2. That was just complete insanity after receiving that EOL. Put you back outside the top 20. And Darlington, it's a tougher place to pass here. And you somehow did it past 20-plus cars, no problem. And then the wall contact. Walk us through that and how the car felt afterwards.
Which time?
The big one that took you a second.
Yeah, it was a little here, a little there. Believe it or not, it wasn't too bad. I think when I pitted for under green, I only had 25 seconds of damage, so it wasn't too bad. I think what hurt more was that it slowed down my momentum, and it just allowed them guys to get away from me. I kind of lost focus a bit, and had to get refocused back into finishing the best I could and winning that championship. 10th championship at FTSR.
Richie, you guys over at Fury, guys, you guys had a really stellar season A for not only both the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, but also the Martin Sports Truck Series. There's one incident on the racetrack I wanted to talk about before you segue into what your expectations are for you guys heading into the B season for not only the Truck Series, but also the Cup Series. There was a moment on the track where I saw your teammate and buddy, Brody Hanna. He got up the racetrack and he was holding you up a little bit, man. I don't know. I thought something had happened between you guys. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know if Brody just was losing it in the car, possibly with the handling. I don't know if you remember, but going into turns 1 and 2, man, he almost took you out. I remember. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that situation.
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I can't really comment on any of that stuff. It is what it is. We were able to get by it, and like I said, finished P3 tonight, and took down the championship.
Yeah, which is awesome. You said 10 championships for you. That's amazing, man. You had 2 wins this season. I know you're going to be logging some more wins next season. And so I'm expecting you guys, you're four in the camp are going to be battling RPM. It looks like here they've come on so strong recently. Is that final secret that you guys found toward the end of last year? Is it still hanging on there, or do you think you have a little bit more to get out of that car?
I think we always have a little bit to go. It depends on the track. It depends on where we're at. Certain drivers do better than others. But yeah, the RPM guys, TJ and Troy, they were on rails tonight. Congrats to both of them guys. They had a fantastic run. Honestly, they were contenders each and every week here towards the last half of the season. So, I think we have so much competition now in this league that it's tough. These wins are tough to come by, and we have some really good guys. RPM is a good team. Blackwater is a good team. We got lots of guys out there. Boomerang and Elevated Esports. We got lots of guys out there. Doing, and anybody can win on any given night.
Yeah, no kidding there. And yeah, it is an excellent group of guys right now to watch. It's making it exciting for us to watch it each and every time we broadcast you guys too. But congratulations on the season championship, man. Well earned, well deserved. And doing it so with the Cousin Carl paint scheme too. And don't forget, or I won't forget rather to mention that, because that's my driver, and I think yours is too. So yeah, good job overall though, man. And we'll see you in 2 weeks at Charlotte.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Great job this year. It was fun always watching the broadcast. Can't wait to get rolling in B season.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. We'll see you then.
All right, night.
Good night. That was season 2023 champion for the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series, Mr. Richie Coy. Jason, what's your final thoughts tonight?
Man, those guys put on one heck of a show here tonight. Again, another natural caution-free race. It was so interesting. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I think we had that one caution earlier on before the stage caution. So we all had one, as Dustin's pointing up the number one finger. Thankfully, it's not that middle one. But what a race here tonight, and obviously what a season A, what an awesome series to be calling. These FTSR guys, man, they mean business, and they drive like hell coming out here every single week for both the Martin Sports Truck Series, the Mach-1 Performance Cup Series. I've had a blast being taken in by you guys and calling this series. It's been a privilege. It's been an honor. I've had an absolute blast calling it. I can't wait to get to Charlotte. I won't be here for one of the races, but obviously these guys are going to be bringing on some stellar heat going into the B season. I guarantee you that RPM is going to be on it. They're going to be consistent if they keep on doing their stuff over there with Doyle Lawrence and Jeff Chandler and all those guys. And I really think that Fury Motorsports has still got something, and I think that Brody Hanna is going to try to come back even better in Season B and top his buddy Richie Coy. But overall, had a great time calling Season A. Can't wait for B.
Yeah, 100% there. And Dustin, we had a competition here for the throwbacks. I think we have a winner in this broadcasters pick the best scheme out here. What you got over there?
Yeah, so I tell you what, both the Truck Series last week and the Cup Series this week, they have all brought in some stellar paint schemes. But there were a number of them that jumped out at us, and one that jumped out more than anything that I think it's all of us was on our list right from the get-go. From the moment we saw it, it hung on that list, stayed on that list all the way through the end till we finally ended up going, making that our pick. Our winner tonight is going to be that 42 machine of Milliken. Beautiful car. That is the pick that all of us decided to go with. Great shout out to Kenny Irwin way back in the day. So again, congratulations to whoever painted that car. We don't know who painted these cars. We just know exactly who showed up. But some of the notable mentions on there as well. Wayne Grossi's number 7. That was the Xerox was a good shout out. That one was one that was up there as well. Some of the other ones, we had a really good, there's a lot of Valvoline ones.
I think the 11 of Solari was one up there.
Yeah,
right?
The 11 of Solari was one of them. That Cale Yarbrough shout out was one.
Brody Hanna's was nice.
Brody Hanna's was a nice one. Yep. So, there was a number of them that we did have that, we're trying to go through some of the still shots because it's kind of hard to see some of these, the action shots when they're racing. But I mean, shout out to all the painters that just did an amazing job on all these cars. Johnson was another one. He was actually our in-car reporter as well. That Heinz 57 throwback. Again, accuracy is very key on that one. That was a fantastic one going back as well. So again, excellent job to everybody that did it. A lot of Valvoline paints out here. All of them looked amazing. Excellent job by everybody. But all in all, it come down to that 42 machine right there. You see on your screen. That is this. Yeah, beautiful. That's this season's winner. So congratulations to the Martin Sports Truck Series booth pick for that, which was the number 27 machine, that throwback to Rusty Wallace. And then kudos is the booth pick for the Cup Series being the 42 of Kyle Milliken. So congratulations to both drivers and the talented painter that put those together.
Giving away that diecast right there. If y'all go check out the Twitter handle, man, it's in my large little lot for the giveaway. That 42 car is the diecast that's in that giveaway. So y'all should go
like the very same one that you're seeing on your screen right now.
Literally same scheme from 1998. Yes.
What a weird coincidence, right?
Oh boy.
Well, this is gonna bring us to the close. We're gonna take 1 week off. And then we're going to resume everything back at Charlotte here in 2 weeks to resume 2023B. But before we do that, we got one last time to thank each and all of our sponsors. Without them, we're not doing this for you guys here. So sign up. You got a fresh set of points for the B Season Championship over at FTSR for all 3 series that they have laid out, Xfinity, Truck, and Cup. So find them at ftsr.net. Get yourself registered today. Mach-1 Performance, your Monday sponsor here. It's a race fabrication shop that's produced champions of all sorts of racing divisions. Find them on Facebook /Mach-1 Performance. Sim Racing Points, your all-inclusive league points management system, allows you to completely track your league stats and more with one simple upload. Visit them at simracingpoints.com. Martin Sports over at martinsports.gg makes the most top quality apparel for the sim world and for other things. They do softball, they do a bunch of other sports jerseys, they make hats, custom embroidering, so much to offer from Martin Sports. It's also providing Kyle Milliken a jersey with his skin on there tonight too. Shout out for that as well. So martinsports.gg. iRacing iFlag notifications fractions of a second faster without ever leaving your focus from the racing action. Find them at iracingiflag.com. Full product line. Butt Kicker, the ultimate feel from your race car directly into your sim seat. If you want to experience that, head over to thebuttkicker.com to see the full product lineup. Team Watson Racing Setups, quality, professionally built setups for all your asphalt needs. Find them and all your pricing packages at teamwatsonracing.com. And then lastly, Roasted Gems Coffee, premium beans roasted just for you. Start your day the right way from Roasted Gems Coffee at roastedgems.com. All right, guys. Great season. Let's do it better in 2023B. Happy to have all three of us rather together for that season. So let's make it happen. But until then, stay safe. Get your nerd on.